if you raise it too much, you'll sound like you're in like a chamber.
Oh yeah.
Like an echo.
It's like all echo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to hate editing that shit.
Oh, did you used to do?
Oh
Stuff like
yeah, I
that?
was a music major in college, bro.
Oh really?
Yeah.
That's dope as fuck, dude. I didn't know that, dude. We're about to learn a lot about you today.
A lot.
So what's up, James?
Sorry, Mom.
How you doing?
I'm good, man.
Yeah, you good?
Yeah.
So, dude, I wanted to have you on because your story is fucking inspiring. All right. When I first met you, what was it, back in like 2018 or something like that?
Yeah, 2018.
There goes my dogs.
It's okay. You
That's
told
what
me
I'll
about
tell
it.
you about.
Okay. It sounds like a purge alarm.
It's nice waking up to. 2018, I met you, I think, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Looking at you, I'm like, this guy's been doing this shit his whole life. You know what I mean? Like, you would have never have thought.
Never.
You know, I think you were a blue belt back then.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think I started been doing it 8 years will be this July. 8 years in July. So 7.5 years.
God damn, 8 years, dude. Time flies.
Bro.
Time flies, dude.
Yeah.
And I remember you telling me, you're like, oh, dude, no, I used to be fat.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
Dude, and you showed me some pictures. I was like, what the fuck, dude? Fucking Jared of the jiu-jitsu world over here, bro.
Bro, you got those.
Keep out all the bad shit though. Just the subway part.
Just the subway part,
just the
bro.
subway part.
No, Subway's terrible. But really.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
They got Patrick Mahomes now and like Steph Curry and all these pro athletes. So maybe they're better.
Oh,
but like, yeah, their whole like pro commercial thing. I don't know. They all talking about their fresh deli cut meats.
I've always wondered how the fuck you lose that much weight off of Subway sandwiches.
But you must have been eating like hell before.
And
like, I think I just
taking the bread off probably. I mean, I don't understand how you can.
I guess so. Or you're just eating like the 6-inch
maybe
subs,
yeah.
but that's
just
still terrible.
in a real low calorie deficit.
Yeah, it sounds terrible though. Like that's eating like once a day.
Yeah, fuck
that.
But yeah, dude, and I've looked at, you know, your stuff on your Instagram, and I mean, I just can't believe the transition from fucking the day you started till now. You know what I mean? It's insane. How much weight did you lose doing jiu-jitsu?
So,
well, I'm sure you did.
Yeah,
working out. And,
yeah. So like
dieting.
the heaviest I ever was before jiu-jitsu, like just 22 years old, looking like the biggest piece of shit I probably ever could be. I mean, I was a super nice guy, but terrible when it came to looks, I would say probably. Thank God women like date down, but thank God they didn't. I was 350, bro. I quit getting on a scale when I saw 350.
God damn, dude.
When I saw 350 and I couldn't see my little dude no more when I took a pee, I stopped getting on the scale. Bro, like, you ever seen that Family Guy episode where Peter Griffin like gets like plastic surgery and he loses a bunch of weight and he's got all these muscles and he's like,
I don't think I've seen that.
Bro, when I tell this story, I literally bring up this episode every
time.
I'm gonna have to
watch that.
This is how it was. Is Peter Griffin like is going to the bathroom? He's like, oh, I haven't seen you in forever. How you doing, little buddy? And he's like talking to his own dick, you know? And that's like how, like, because he was so fat, Peter Griffin's so fat, he couldn't see it before. Yeah. Like, that's how I was, man. I was like real life Peter Griffin.
Yeah.
You know, I had like 10 chins. It was terrible. But I was 350. And then, you know, started losing weight, started going to the gym all the time, eating right, things like that, and got down to around, I would probably say 290, 285 when I started doing jiu-jitsu. So I was still pretty big. I mean, I wasn't.
Well, it doesn't happen overnight.
No, and it just took time. I slowly did it. Like, it wasn't like I lost like 60 pounds right away and then, you know, stopped, or 100 pounds. It was, you know, 20 pounds here, kind of plateau, 20 more pounds. And so I just kind of had to figure it all out myself. Yeah. Like, try to figure out what worked for me and what didn't. You know,
how'd you start? Like, did you just start working out, or was it just jiu-jitsu only, or? With
the 350, I just started working out, and I really just like tried to find ways to like figure out what other people do. I did a lot of research online.
Yeah.
I hired like one of those online like nutrition coaches, but it was mainly like a bodybuilder dude who like had his own Instagram following.
Yeah.
But it was good. Because I was just trying to be big. Like, I was just tired of being fat. So I was like, let me be strong at least. Like, I'm 6'4", 6'5". Like, let me be strong. Like, let me be a big dude. Don't let me just be some like overweight, like can't walk up a flight of stairs type dude. So I started with that. And then funny enough, jiu-jitsu, I didn't start when I was 25, 26. Like, that wasn't the first time I'd done jiu-jitsu. I started jiu-jitsu technically when I was like 15, 16 with my youth pastor. He came to the church I went to in St. Joe, and he wanted to have guys night. Like we would just like watch like the UFCs when there was like 3 a year and they were like $50, like way back in the day. And then he was like, one of my best friend was a wrestler, and a couple of the guys I hung out with at the church in the youth group were like, kind of did wrestling in high school, but I did nothing because I was homeschooled. I never went to public school until college. Like in college technically isn't public school. Like, you got to pay to go there. So he would have us over, and I'm like 15, 16, getting rides over there from my parents or riding with my friends. And we would literally like beat each other up in his basement. like he had mats down.
Fight Club style.
Yeah, bro. And he like took some martial arts, but he did like that Gracie online jiu-jitsu stuff.
Oh, and the Henner Gracie stuff?
Yeah. So like when that was first coming out, so we like, bro, I learned like a triangle, a guillotine, and like what guard was, and that was about it. And then he like took some boxing when he was younger, and he was doing martial arts, like some stand-up martial arts up there in St. Joe.
And how old were you guys?
Bro, like 15, 16. Like just pups. Just pups, bro. I didn't know what was going on. I thought this was the coolest stuff. You know, I thought like, again, compared to most people, like I was doing real martial arts.
Yeah.
You know, I was better than Taekwondo when I was a little kid. So I'm like, cool, we got this.
Yeah.
Well, then like, so man, I mean, I got thrown through a wall one time, like in his basement, not by him, by my buddy, because he was like upstairs doing something, and me and him went at it, and you know, boys at 16, shit gets out of hand way too quick. Yeah. And so I get tossed through a wall like ass first and just dumped. And then, you know,
guys were repairing drywall the next day.
Bro, the next day. I got head-butted one time in a black eye over a video game at his house. Like, yeah, not by him. He never did any of it. He always came in after, and he's just like, y'all are going to really get me fired. Like,
so what was this? Like, just like you guys would just hang out there?
Yeah.
Or like they'd have activities for you guys to do?
Like this was just at his house. Like,
and this guy was just like, fuck it. We're going to do jiu-jitsu.
Like, he was like me and a couple of the closest guys who were like, we helped out in the youth ministry and like all that kind of stuff. And we're just like the dudes that he was trying to just be, you know, like kind of disciple per se, in that sense of like a church atmosphere and a religious atmosphere.
Yeah.
And it was super cool. Like I still talk to him nowadays, and he always gives me crap because every time I fight, he always like, I started you on this. And I was like, pretty much, man.
Better put him in your corner.
Bro, we used to box. Yeah. And he, at one point, he got tired of us running away from him because he was obviously more of the adult. So all of us are scared shitless when we're boxing. Like, none of us want to get hit in the face. Like, please.
Yeah.
And I was definitely a little baby. Like, I'm glad he did this. Otherwise, I would have been way more of a sissy than I was at the time.
Kind of toughened you up, give you some tough love.
Yeah, man. Because I don't have any brothers. I just had a sister, so like, I never had that wrestling.
You think that's where it comes from? It's just not having maybe an older brother to kind of toughen you up?
I think it was just a lot of my friends weren't real rough. Like, a lot of them were like like back in the day, metrosexual type of dude. Like we all tried to dress real clean and like look good, and like none of us were like, I mean, we like to hike or rock climb and stuff like that, but none of us were like, let's get like wrestle and football. Yeah. None of us were those guys. So it was like he kind of built that in us.
Yeah.
You know?
Is that something you were seeking, or just came out?
I think it just came out. Like, it was just something that was a byproduct of the friend group I was in at the time.
Yeah.
You know, and those guys, I still talk to all those guys, like, kind of built a brotherhood for real at a very young age, you know, 15 years later. Mm-hmm. But, so that kind of where it started. And then fast forward to jiu-jitsu is my buddy, Jake Zek, who's a purple belt. We were both working overnight at Hy-Vee. I night stock up in St. Joe. He kept bugging me to come to class.
I remember Jake.
Yeah, because he knew I had a little bit of experience. And he was a fighter, 185 fighter. And he just kept bugging. He was like, nah, man, my girlfriend, like, she's all up my butt. I don't have enough time to be home. And like, I was just throwing all the excuses out. I was like, nah, man. Like,
oh, I've heard a lot of those.
And in my head, I'm like, bro, like, I bet if me and Jake rolled right now, like, I could take him. Like, that's just this fake, like, weird mindset I had that, like, I did a little bit of training. Like, jiu-jitsu ain't that bad. Like, because I never rolled with anybody who really trained.
Yeah.
And so finally, one night I come in and he's like, hey, man, you all right? I was like, I looked all down. I was like, yeah, me and my girl broke up. And without it missing a beat, like, didn't even like ask me about like if I was okay. He goes, oh, so you come to class tomorrow night? And I was like, well, I guess so. So I text up Coach Jeremy and I'm like, hey, Jake told me to get a hold of you. Make sure it's cool if I come in and try class. I go in, dude, and I get ragdolled. Like, he's like, oh, coach is like, back then he still didn't let you roll right away, but he's like, do you have any experience? Like, oh yeah, I trained for like maybe a year really of like, I know a couple things. He's like, okay, yeah, you can roll. Dude, Jake, I swear Jake probably tapped me out like 15 times in maybe a minute and a half. Yeah. Like, and I was, just huffing and puffing and dying and like crying maybe. Like, just the worst thing. I looked like I was getting turned out by like some dude.
Dude, I think that's crazy. I think that's crazy, dude. It's just, because I've rolled with you before. I don't think I've rolled with you since you've been a brown belt, but even at blue belt, and you used to fuck me up, dude. And I used to think the same thing. It's like, well, I'm not a small guy. I'm like an average size guy, Yeah. At the time, I think when I started jiu-jitsu at 10 Planet, I was like 225 or something like that. So I was like, I'm all right. I think I'll be all right, dude. Yeah, okay. That changed in like fucking 5 minutes. I was like, what the fuck? All these fucking nerds are fucking me up over here, dude. Because you go in there and I look at you guys, and it's not like what you would think. You think there'd be like big ass bearded fucking intimidating ass dudes. I'm not saying that.
Like SEAL Team 6.
Like SEAL Team 6. I mean, when I seen you kind of gave me the vibes. But some of the other dudes were like, I was like, oh, this guy's. And then they fucking just mop me up on the floor.
He's like a teacher, a music teacher.
And he fucking mops me up on the floor. He's like, what the fuck? Yeah, and I think he works for actually Oak Park, because I've seen him do my daughter's choir stuff. Yeah. So I'm like sitting here looking at this dude, and he's just out there. And I'm like, this dude fucking will roll you up like a pretzel.
Beat you. Beat you up. Like, technically. Not even viciously or like super maliciously, just technically.
And when you look at him, you wouldn't even think, dude. I mean,
that's kind of how it always brought me back. Like, I think it was a couple years ago, I saw, it went around for a while, but it was like one of those memes or pictures where it was like, a bodybuilder on the left, and then I think it was like Triple G on the right. And they were like, to tell your girl that the guy on the right, and he was like wearing like a nice little like big puffy jacket and his glasses, is a world-class champion boxer who beat the crap out of the guy on the left. And it's like, yeah, that's real.
Oh, like, they have a Justin Gaethje one like that too. I'm like, you look at this dude.
He looks like a goober.
Yeah, I know. Like, I've showed my friends. I'm like, look at this guy. Like this guy would fuck you up
when he has his glasses on. Yeah, and he's like,
and they're all kind of crooked and shit.
Yeah, bro. And like, don't disrespect Justin Gaethje's a bad motherfucker, dude, but like,
he is.
One of the most entertaining dudes to watch, literally the highlight reel. Yeah. But he just looks like a goofy dude when he's all like dressed up and like, no, it looks good, but I mean, just like looks like a goofy dude that they wouldn't expect to just put power and put people down.
For some reason, I feel in grappling and jiu-jitsu and in wrestling, it's kind of like a trend. Of just like kind of nerdy looking dudes you would never suspect. And I mean, unless they have a lot of cauliflower and then you kind of know, but then you kind of know. You kind of take a second look though. And some of them don't have it. You know what I mean? Especially like at the high school level. I mean, they have to wear headgear and all that stuff. Yeah. But we get a lot of wrestlers in from the high school at our gym from Oak Park. And I mean, 14, 15 years old. I mean, I've had some issues with a couple of them, and they're half my size.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
You just don't expect it.
No, you don't, man. It's insane.
Well, I think it comes down to just there's no bravado with it. Like sometimes you get that like weird like MMA attitude, which is the guys who are trying to like be something they're not, and usually they're not great at MMA anyway. Yeah. But like the dudes who are, the state champs in wrestling, the high level black belts, the world champions in, even IBJJF, jiu-jitsu that are the world champs, at adult and even in the masters, like they're never those dudes. They never give off that vibe anymore. Like,
for sure.
They just are. Like, that's who they are. They don't have to, pretend or be a part of it.
Where does that come from though? You know what I mean?
Like the not having to pretend?
Yeah,
I think it just comes from earning your confidence,
just
man.
Confidence on the mat?
Yeah, because that's the thing is like with jiu-jitsu or MMA, like nothing is given freely.
For sure.
I mean, anybody who's done those sports, same with wrestling, other sports out there, not that they don't work hard, but like, basketball or football, soccer, like they all have to work super, super hard. You have to be talented and you have to have some kind of work ethic usually. Yeah. Sometimes you get crazy ones, that are like super, instantly good at soccer or basketball or football. But nobody's instantly good at jiu-jitsu or wrestling. Like the dudes who are you're like, oh, he's just always been good. Yeah, he's been doing it since he was 5, and his parents have put him in every wrestling camp and everything all year long, 12 months a year for 10 years. Yeah. So yeah, he's good. He should be good. He was wrestling before he could probably walk.
Yeah.
And so I think that comes from just like jiu-jitsu and MMA wrestling. You have to earn every bit of confidence you have. You're never given it. Mm-hmm. And if you think you have some false confidence, it'll show on the mat. Like you're never gonna get to be on the mat and have like some fake like bravado of like, oh, I can handle anybody out here. Oh, you believe you can? Like you're gonna have to show you can. Like, dude, I mean, and there are nights, like you might be the best, but like you might just have a really bad night rolling where nothing gets off. Like you might not get one submission, and that's the thing is, if it's just your school and it's just a fun roll, like you'll have those nights, and that's fine. But there might be a tournament you do or a high level match where you're trying to win some money and you had to put up some money and shit's not going your way, man. And you got to figure out a way to get it because you have to try to keep that confidence and earn. And so you're going to earn more confidence through that, whether it's good, bad, or ugly,
Yeah, like even in like with me, I feel pretty good, during our classes.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of white belts at our school.
Yeah.
A lot of white belts. We just opened up Healy and Gracie, Kansas City in February.
Yeah.
So over here in Gladstone. And it's crazy because, in like you said, you think you're confident, I'm going through class, I'm doing pretty well. And then an open mat comes, on the weekend. And we get so many guys from you've been up there too.
Yeah, I've been down the Sundays
you've seen
before.
how packed it gets. I mean, even before Worlds, it was getting packed.
Yeah.
I mean,
a lot of high level dudes.
You couldn't,
too. High level belts.
And
for sure.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I guess to me, I'm just used to it just because I'm so new. Yeah. You know what I mean? And, but I've been told it's like, this is unheard of.
Yeah.
Like,
when I was there, man, like there's a lot of purple belts, quite a few brown belts, and even honestly a lot of black belts.
I think the other day we had 8 black belts. Yeah, I think my coach was telling me
to have
that's
in
insane.
one room like that. In Kansas City, that can be a little bit.
Yeah,
like it's getting more normal because the culture of jiu-jitsu in Kansas City, at least personally from what I've seen in the last 7 to 8 years, it's getting better, and we're getting people who are staying in jiu-jitsu longer, and they're not just fighting MMA. Like before, it was a lot of MMA fighters who didn't care about belts, or they didn't do jiu-jitsu in the gi, so they didn't care about belts.
They just did enough to get them
fight.
by.
Yeah. Okay. Or they just did fight camps, and then they'd be gone for a while, do fight camps, gone for a while, and then since, Coach Jeremy had, at 10th Planet Kansas City, where I train most of the time, they, now we got guys who are doing no-gi all the time. So now we're getting guys in no-gi in Kansas City who are getting belted up and getting higher belts. I would probably say, out of just strictly no-gi brown belts, I'm one of probably, I think 3 or 4 in Kansas City. Really? That's just, because if you're just going off just a no-gi school that doesn't have like a gi belting system. We have the same belting system, but just like more or less we don't do stripes, obviously. You don't wear a belt all the time. Yeah. Even though coach keeps all that in his head and has literally sell stuff. But, if we're just going off just only trains no-gi, never really put a gi on, there's like Noe, me, Coach Blake, and then Kalen Hester, who he came down from Omaha, from 10th Planet Omaha, and then I'm sure Eric will be a brown belt soon. So there's like 5 that are like strictly no-gi brown belts. Yeah. But even that was unheard of, 5 years ago, 4 years ago. So that's kind of where it's coming, is that we're getting a lot of higher belts in Kansas City that are able to pack those rooms to where it's going to be like the normal thing, like it is in California or Texas or New York,
all the coast
because
states,
they've had those meccas of jiu-jitsu all around the country. Texas is a mecca because Gordon Ryan lives there now, and Craig Jones lives there too, and Joe Rogan and all those things. LA is because obviously of like Atos, Eddie Bravo, Master Eddie's out there with 10th Planet headquarters.
Have you been out there?
Yeah, I've been out there a couple times. It's super fun. It's super fun.
I heard the location is sketchy as fuck though.
It is, but it isn't. It is because everything in LA is sketchy. Like I think
I went there, it was bad, dude. I went there a couple years ago.
I think every place in LA feels like a sketch. Like walking down the sidewalk, I'm like, I feel like I could be like, this is the good part of LA, and I feel like I'm in like the worst part of Kansas City. So like this is cool.
Yeah.
So like LA is like, it's super cool though. Like Master Eddie, like he's definitely created a culture of dudes who just love jiu-jitsu. And like that family culture. And that's the biggest thing about 10th Planet that I fell in love with, was the culture we had of like no matter what 10th planet you went to, it was like family.
Yeah.
And so that was the huge thing for me on that. But yeah, man, like I think that's where a lot of it came from, and where that confidence comes from is in jiu-jitsu. You just have to build it up. Like you don't.
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying.
You're never given anything. You're never given anything in jiu-jitsu. You have to earn everything. So it's the ultimate way to like. You don't have an ego. You build your ego. Yeah. Like you, and it's a good ego versus like a bad ego of like, oh, I'm the hot shit, but you don't ever have to prove you're hot shit or why you're hot shit. You just think you're the man. Because you have some weird like value system for yourself.
Well, that's where I was getting at, is that, you know, when you go to an open mat, you know, just as soon as I start to think like, oh damn, I'm getting good. Yeah. You know what I mean? You go to an open mat and just get humbled by blue belts and purple belts and
everybody.
Yeah, everybody, dude. Everybody. And then they make you feel like as if like, fuck, I'm day one. You know what I mean? Yeah. And luckily, like kind of where I'm at right now, you know, it's hard to judge from a white belt perspective because you don't never know if they're taking you like if they're actually giving you full on. You know, with us with the gi at our school, you know, everyone knows what you are. Yeah. You know, so it's not like that guessing game or having to ask afterwards. But so you never know if they're giving it 100% or, you know, if they're saving like, oh, I'm going to save my energy with this white belt for the brown belt I got to go with next, you know, but I feel like I'm getting better, you know, I'm getting submitted less by blue belts, you know, of course, purple and up, you know,
all you're trying to do at white belt, bro, is survive.
I know,
like,
bro.
That's the biggest thing I tell white belts when I roll with them, when they first start rolling or roll with them anywhere. And they just say something about like, man, you just tap me something, whatever it is, is bro, your job is to try everything and just like get tapped. Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to go
like there are dudes at my school who still tap me. Like at 10th Planet, like at Kansas City at Coach Jeremy School. Like there's still dudes who tap me. It's not like I never get tapped, obviously. Like, you know, Noe, there's a black belt that trains there. His name's Matt. He can tap me. He has a crazy sort of north-south choke, and he's just a really good like D1 wrestler. Been doing it. He used to fight too. He's super good. Coach Blake will tap me. Coach Jeremy will tap me. Like, you know, and there are those guys in the, you know, Josh Denny. He'll give me some time. He's a high level purple belt too. He's got some sneaky stuff too.
Just Josh used to beat my ass, dude. He was a white belt when I was a white belt.
Yeah.
And I think, you know.
Yeah, but he was a wrestler for like his whole
life. Dude,
bro.
I know. I was like, he was just, I felt like he was a cat just playing with the fucking ball of yarn with me, bro. It was insane.
I miss getting tapped consistently. Like every roll, I miss getting tapped because I feel like getting tapped is the quickest way to get better. Yeah. Because you learn so much from getting tapped.
Do you go to other gyms and
for sure. I cross train. So I train at 10th Planet Kansas City, which is my home school, and then I cross train at Ignite over off North Oak for MMA.
How's it over there?
Days a week. It's good. Their jiu-jitsu, like, I mean, I train with like the pro MMA guys, so like I don't know how many of them train like strictly jiu-jitsu.
Their classes look pretty packed. I see their 6 a.m. classes look
good. Yeah. But like I don't know how many of the MMA guys train jiu-jitsu like all the time. I think a lot of them have picked it up through training for MMA. So like they're pretty solid. Like, they have a good top gram and stuff like that. Their wrestling's super, super good. You know, obviously some of them have come from, you know, Glory and stuff like that, because they were when all that kind of stuff went down. And so they're solid. Like there's nothing wrong with them. It's just like they're not like a strict jiu-jitsu. It's not a strict jiu-jitsu class, or like they might not attend strict jiu-jitsu classes all the time like I have, or like you do, or like I do now still. So it's not necessarily jiu-jitsu I'm there. It's more I'm trying to go and just like get that grind on, like just like hard practices, hard bodies, like how tired can I be when I'm done type thing.
I've heard they kind of have like more intense programs there, like geared towards MMA. So
for the guys who want to fight, they for sure probably one of the like highest geared rooms in the city for sure.
But and see, what's the difference between 10th Planet? Because you guys have stand-up classes as well.
We do.
What makes it different between the intensity?
I would just say how many pros.
Got you.
Like I get really great rounds at 10th Planet with a lot of guys. It's just some are hobbyists, some are fighters that are on the amateur level still.
And it's hard to push yourself if you're just going against hobbyists.
Yeah, and then, you know, I have some that have fought, obviously, like Josh Denny's fought, Josh Phillips, one of our other guys, he's fought, Kirk Grillington, he's a pro, he's fought. But it might not be their singular focus. Gotcha. And that's totally okay. It's just something I've dedicated my life to the last 7 years, almost 8 years. So is to be pro and to be a high level fighter and high level jiu-jitsu guy. And it's not that they don't want those same things. They just have had, some are married, some have kids, and that's okay. Like, I don't want to take anything away from that or like sound like that they're not good, because they are.
Yeah.
Like, they give me good looks. They give me good technique. Coach Jeremy has great technique, and he shows us, honestly, he cares so much and does so many good things for us for that. I would just say the difference is just bodies, like how many bodies we have, and then how many guys are pro and how many other guys want to be in the UFC or be in one championship or PFL. Like, that's the difference. It's just you're in a dogfight a little bit more, just because every dude wants to be the best in the room.
Yeah, and I'm not saying with hobbyists you can't be pushed, because of course you can. Like, I've also heard that there's a lot of guys in the gyms that are just dogs, man. They would, but when it comes down to competing, it's a whole different ball game under the lights.
I'll be in a room with Mikey England, Gage Young, Mikey, he's on the doors of the UFC. Gage Young's on the doors of the UFC. Alan Oliveras, he's on the doors of the UFC. You got Mo Mohammed, and he's he just won. He's had a 6 or 7 fight win streak. And these are some guys in a lighter weight class. Zach Long, he used to fight 170. He's gonna start fighting soon, is what he's been saying again. He just had some injuries, so he's taking care of those. But and a bunch of other guys who are, some are amateur and some are pro too. Tristan, he just fought last week and won. So he's 2-0 as pro now locally. So I mean, there are guys that are in there that are just, they're pushing for the same thing, and they're even necessarily higher level than I am in the sense of their records. And
well, even at the last fight that I just went to Saturday, I felt like they were in every single fight. I mean, is Zach Cummins the owner of
Ignite? He's one of, he's the main, he's the head coach, main owner.
And I've met him before a long time ago when I did
super awesome guy.
I did a trial class there before I did 10th Planet. I did a day or two there. When they used to be by Boomers. So and he was a real nice guy, man. Real nice.
He cares. He's really there. He really wants to see people succeed. And, and that's the only reason I really started cross training there, was because Zach also cared.
When did you start that?
On and off back in January, but really, really hard the last 4 or 5 months.
Was that recommended to you by somebody, or just you're just kind of looking into it yourself? Or
it was definitely, I would say, very stressed by my mental coach that I work with, which is Caleb Rogers, mental sensei. So shout out to him. Locally in KC, works with a lot of UFC guys.
What is that? Mental sensei? What is that?
So he's a mental coach. So he basically helps a lot with kind of, the best way to explain it would be you have a lot of stuff going on in your brain all the time, in the sense of oh, I need to do this, and I need to do this, and I need to do this, and I need to do this. He kind of, especially when it comes to my life in general, helps me tunnel vision everything. So he's very focused, very linear on things, and gets very down to the point. And he also helps with, any insecurities I have, any doubts I have leading up to a fight. He does hypnotherapy. He's, accredited through one of the only schools in the country that has accredited hypnotherapy. He's helped people with smoking, getting ready for fights. I had knee surgery. He did a couple sessions to kind of tell my body to heal quicker. Which I came out of surgery and was back to jiu-jitsu in 2 weeks. Those things work. But I've been working with him. I found him. He's worked with Trey Ogden, Jason Witt, a lot of local guys. James
is he
Krause.
Geared towards fighters, or is he for everybody?
He works with everybody. High level CEOs, things like that, your day-to-day people, but he does have a lot of NFL players, things like that. But he does work with a lot of UFC fighters too. Probably name a bunch of them. I know a couple here and there that he posts about, but quite a few. And so it's one of those things that's really helped me, because I came from a very I would say not unsupported, because I have a lot of people who support me and care about me and push me in fighting, but a very I didn't have a lot of confidence. Excuse me. I didn't have a lot of confidence growing up because I was so fat. And so so when it comes to fighting, I kind of had all these doubts when I get ready for a fight. I had quite a few fights without him, but I would probably say 6 or 7 fights into my amateur career, I started getting with him. And I think I've been with Caleb for 5 years, almost 5 years. So, and there's still new things. Like I know a lot of the stuff and like down pat, but there's still things like he helps me make sure I hit all my goals and that I keep pushing myself and keep things like set, and that I keep everything in perspective with my own business that I run, to jiu-jitsu, to my own life, like things like that, and make sure that I keep a good perspective on everything. And so he really helps me do that, and he really helps me get ready for fights to where I go into that fight fully focused, ready, make sure I'm not forgetting anything, and make sure I just respect what I'm doing.
Yeah. So I couldn't imagine the anxiety and the just stress. And
yeah, I mean,
you're about to get locked in that cage with another guy that wants to rip your head off.
Yeah. And like, it's a weird thing. That part is weird. Like the lead up to a fight is weird. I don't know if that, like, he makes it as easy as possible.
But he helps with you being able to handle that.
I recommend him to everybody that you want to fight, you want to be a CEO of a company, you just want like kind of therapy without going to a therapist.
Yeah.
Like, because that wasn't really my jam. Like, I don't mind therapy and I don't mind therapists. He kind of is that for me in a sense of like, but real talk, like just talking to another guy and just really being like, this is where stuff's at. And he doesn't, Yeah.
And nothing's universal. You have to find what works with you.
Exactly. Like if a therapist is great for you, that's great. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Like he is my therapy.
Yeah. Because what's the difference between that first fight and not having him and now? I mean, you just feel a lot more.
There's just a lot less uncertainty. There's a lot more focus. There's a lot more.
What does go through your head when you're about to go into that cage, dude?
Bro,
I've always wanted to.
So it's not the worst part is when you get to the venue. Like from the time you get to the venue till the time you get in that cage is the longest amount of time that you will ever be as a human being.
Really?
Like the other night, I didn't fight till 9:00. I got there at 3:30. 3:30 in the afternoon.
That's crazy. And you wanted to get there at that time?
No, that's when they required us to be there.
Do you weigh in the day before though?
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah. So we weighed in the day before, but we are required to be there at 3:30 on Saturday, which is fine. Like that's not crazy. I'm not even mad about it because honestly, that's less than some other promotions. Some promotions, the fights start at 7 and they're like, "Hey, be here at 2."
But why though? What's their reasonings?
Well, you got to see the doctor. So you got to see the doctor at some point. All the fighters, they usually have 1 or 2 doctors.
Physical, check you out.
Just to make sure. They ask you a bunch of questions. I mean, make you do a bunch of things, make you like push against them, pull. Hey, does all this feel normal? I mean,
gotcha.
It's like the easiest test in every state. I mean, if you want to pass it and something is messed up, you're gonna pass it.
Yeah.
Like, let's not not to fault the commission. It's just the rules that the state has set. Like, the commission does their best and the doctors do their best. It's just it is what it is, And but you get there at 3:30, so you find your shit, you put your shit down, and then you're just there, man.
Is there like a back room to where you can kind of hang out at least a little bit?
A lot of dudes will take naps.
You're not having to stand on the concrete for fucking 4 hours?
You can sit down, you can lay down, you can bring a pillow, you can bring whatever you want. But I mean, you're just chilling till it's time.
And all the other fighters are in that same room?
I mean, you'll be split up by corner usually. Like there'll be a wall between you or like some kind of curtain or something like that. So you're not staring at your dude.
That's what I was wondering. I'm like, you guys are just looking at each other?
Shit, this last fight, me and the dude had to go pee both. Like, and so I swear I ran into him 4 times in the bathroom.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, bro. Like just pants down around your ankles. Like Tony the Tiger. I'm like, do I just like put booty cheeks out or like, and just like really try to assert some dominance?
I know. What do you do? Just go, hey, what's up, man?
I mean, you just laugh and kind of like say hi. Yeah. But so that was like 4 times. And then like, so you get there, you do all that. And the cage is set up so you can get in the cage and kind of feel it out, see how it feels, see if there's like some dead spots or like some weird dips in it. Cause I've been in some cages, man, that you'll just be like walking along and then all of a sudden it's like a 3-inch dip and then come back up. So you're just like, well, I'm going to avoid this spot this whole fight and I will.
You can't point it out to them and have them fix it?
There's nothing they're going to do about it. 110%. Or like, hopefully the canvas, like thank God with Synergy and like most of them that I fought for, there's been 2 that were bad. I won't mention them, but the ones Synergy that I just fought for, or Fighting Alliance that I fought for, they're good. Their canvases are always nice and their stages are really good. But there's been some with dead spots, man, or like you get in there and the canvas is bunched up. So like you're literally like, it's like got little wrinkles on top. So you're like, how am I supposed to like fight on this? Like I'm going to trip over this.
Yeah. That's, and
then you like feel that you try
it's not like you trip and nothing happens. I mean, you could get fucking hurt.
Yeah,
man.
Bro. You could trip into a dude's knee or elbow or whatever. And like, I'll like try to get against the walls and see how the cage feels. Like, all right, is this cage like, I've gotten against some like of the metal, like the little fence metal, and like it's like falling, like the coating is falling off,
dude.
So now you're just like, oh, this is like gonna cut me metal.
I've always wondered that, and it's funny you bring that up, dude. It's because, I mean, it's a chain link fence. Yeah. It's just got like a rubberized coating on
just
it,
like,
right?
I mean, just like anything. Like if you go to the dog park, it's like the same fucking fence. It's a little softer.
I've thought about the green fence they have. Yeah, dude, I've thought about the same thing because I'm like, well, they probably use this at a ton of events. Yeah, what are they inspecting? How are they going through every single fucking chain? I mean,
like the commission will go around and they'll like tug on it and check the corners. So they do their job.
But what if there's that one spot where that little piece of metal is just kind of flared?
I was at one in Lawrence that I fought on, and I had already fought in one, and I had won. It was back in my amateur days. I fought at 205, won a 205 title, and then these heavyweights are the main event, bro. And one of the corners of the stage collapses.
Oh fuck!
Like the corner / the wall like collapsed, so they had to like stop the fight halfway through the first round. So these dudes have already beat on each other for like 3 minutes.
Yeah,
and had to fix it. It took like 5 minutes. So they got a 5-minute break after 3 minutes of fighting. So they started to cool down, and it was an outside venue, bro. So it was like middle of October. These dudes were getting cold, terrible, and it's just like that's normal shit. Like that shit happens, not often, but it does.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you kind of get warmed up before the fight, and then you check everything out, and then you just go wait, and you're waiting for your coach to wrap your hands. And so you just kind of walk around and like go pee a bunch of times because you were dehydrated, and then you drink a bunch of water. So now you got to pee, which like I'm still dealing with. I'm still peeing like every 5 minutes right now, bro. And then you do that, and then just chill, like, and then you wait to get warmed up again. Yeah. And then
I think that'd be the worst part, dude, is just getting cold, man. I mean, for people that have never competed, I mean, even at the small local tournaments that I've done, I mean, you want to get that sweat going right before your competition, because if you don't, your cardio is going to be shit, dude. I
mean, I've worked so hard to find a warm-up rhythm that like no matter what happens works, and I'm the closest I've ever been right now. It's not perfect, but it's it's as perfect as it can get right now. And as you get like in higher level in the pros, or like even as a pro, you get on the pro card, you usually know where you're going to sit and kind of how the show's going to go. Mm-hmm. Like the last show, they were perfect. Like everything they said time wise was perfect. So like I wasn't mad about that whatsoever. Like they did everything. So I had a great warm up. Everything was good. But yeah, I mean, it can be, you're there for like, so I was there like, 6 hours till I fought. Like from the time I got there till I fought.
God, dude, that's got to be fucking
you're just chilling,
aggravating, dude. I mean, just
and there's nothing you can do about it. It happens at the UFC too. Like those dudes get there so early.
Yeah.
Like if you're the first fight on the early prelims, and that's like 3:00.
Yeah.
You're probably getting there at 11. So you're waking up at 8 or 9, getting some food in you, and getting to the UFC wherever it's at 11.
Do you kind of, and during your training, do you kind of switch your schedule around, or do you kind of keep it the same to where so you feel more awake towards 9:00 at night? You're not falling asleep.
Bro, I'm a night owl anyway. Like I'm up to like, sadly sometimes, like, I mean, I try to go be in bed at 11.
Yeah.
But then I'll lay in bed for like an hour or something anyway, maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah.
If it's the weekend.
Scrolling shorts.
Bro, just
stories.
Stupid stuff. Not even like, I'll be trying to go to sleep sometimes and I just can't get sleep.
Yeah.
But I've gotten a lot better about it. When I get close to a fight, I get real hammered down on like making sure I'm asleep, because I have to be. But yeah, but then still sometimes I'll wake up and be like, I gotta pee. Apparently I have to pee because I'm an old man tonight and I gotta pee in the middle of the night type thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not too bad. No, I don't change my schedule around. I keep it pretty. I mean, I train so many times a day usually. Like, I think one week I counted during camp and I trained 36 hours.
God damn. Like, yeah, what does a camp consist of from Monday to Sunday? I mean,
so my normal schedule, any day during the week, I got Mondays at 10 a.m. at Ignite for pro practice usually. This is just my normal schedule, not in camp, at 10 a.m. Then usually lifting with my performance coach, Nick Griffith, with Elevate U, with his performance company. And then night class at 6 p.m. at 10th Planet till about after, that's like stand up from 6 to 7. And then jiu-jitsu starts at 7. And we'll go from 7 till 8:15 and then roll for 30, 45 minutes. So I'll leave and then I might jump rope for like 30 minutes. So it'll be 9:30 by the time I'm done. That's crazy. And get to go home, and then I'll be in bed by 11.
And run your business too.
Yeah, and run my business. So that'll be Monday. And basically Tuesday is more or less the same, except instead of my morning practice at Ignite, it's at 10th Planet because we have a lunch class there. So I'll go there at 11.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that you guys added another class.
So I'll go there at 11, and then I'll either work out that day with my performance coach, or we'll work out Wednesday. It's usually just depending on the schedule I need for that, but usually that gets in. And then nighttime class at 10th Planet, and then Wednesday is the same as Monday, so then it's 3 practices again. And then Thursday is the same as Tuesday, and then Friday I'll usually have my other workout, so I'll get morning class in at Ignite, and then we'll have pads class at 10th Planet that night. And then Saturday we got wrestling and open mat at 10th Planet, and then Sunday we got our like alpha class, which is like our fighter class. Most of our fighters come to that. It's just an hour and a half. So I mean, I'll get in, if you just count all the practices, like 18 practices, and if they're all average in 2 hours, some are an hour, some are an hour and a half, some are like I'm there for 3 hours, depending on by the time I leave. So average it out, I think it's like 2 hours almost for every class, so it's like 36 hours.
And how do you gauge whether that's too much or too little? I mean, just kind of listen to your body, or
I don't think there's too much.
Really?
For me.
For you?
For me. Because I didn't do sports in high school. Like, I didn't put any miles on the car, is what I tell them. So like,
I've just heard talks of overtraining can hurt you.
I think I see.
Like they talk about those guys that like New Wave doing 7 days a week and all that shit.
As a business owner, being a personal trainer, and having clients who do too much, I think depending on the person, you can overtrain. But it depends on what you're doing. You can do too much. Yeah. Like if you're running 6 miles a day, like that's too much. Like you're doing the same shit too much. Yeah. But since I'm doing, a wrestling class, then a jiu-jitsu class, then stand up, and this is light stand up, this is more technique. So like all my classes are different levels of difficulty. And then the ones that are super hard, like my ones at Ignite, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I got a day in between, so I got time to rest and recuperate.
And that's another thing too, right? Is recovery as well. If you're just grinding, not taking care of your body at the same time.
But that's the thing too, is I've, as far as I can, perfected my downtime. Like I don't drink. Like it's everything outside of training, I think, that makes training too much. Like when people say they're doing too much because their body's breaking down and they're having a lot of injuries and they're getting hurt a lot, that usually comes down to a couple factors. Either you're not doing the right recovery, which is usually they're not getting enough sleep. And it's usually what affects that is, so like recovery, what you're putting in to fuel your body, and then are you doing the same thing too much? Like if I boxed every day for 4 hours a day, like, bro, my brain's going to take some kind of damage. I don't care who you are. If you're getting,
for sure,
if you're boxing 4 hard hours every day, like hard boxing rounds, hard sparring rounds, your brain's going to take damage and going to build up damage over time.
Because it's not just those knockout punches, it's the repetitiveness of getting
same
hit.
With jiu-jitsu. If we only did the same submission, if you did heel hooks and all you did was get tapped by heel hooks, or tap people, I'd say get tapped by heel hooks every class, and the only submission you ever got tapped with was a heel hook, and you got tapped 5 times every class, your knees are going to be fucking sore. Like, I don't care who you are. Same if it was a Kimura. If your shoulder is going to be sore if you get tapped by 5 Kimuras every class. Like consistently, right? So those are like the 3 factors: recovery, what you're putting in your body, and what you're doing. Like those to me. So when people do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again every day, like, you're overtraining because you're doing the same shit every day, and you're not like doing anything. So you're putting wear on that same part of your body every day, all day. Jiu-jitsu and MMA, stand up and sparring, like that affects your whole body. So it just depends on the level of intensity you're doing every day, really. And then my nutrition, like I work with the nutritionist, Ashley Grimmel out of Grimmel Biometrics, and she lives in Colorado. So I do her online program. Been with her for a while now, and she makes sure that I'm eating exactly what I need when I need to make sure I have enough energy to do everything. Very, very scientific, down to like the grams and ounces of every little thing I do. And very specific on what meats I'm eating each day to make sure there's enough nutrients because of what that meat will do to my body.
I think a lot of people don't understand it. They just look at the calorie factor and they don't look at
which is
calories.
Totally fine if you're just trying to lose weight or gain muscle or whatever it is. But when it comes down to like you're trying to be a Ferrari, and like perform like a like an athlete, like a Formula 1 car, you can't put unleaded gasoline in a Formula 1 car. Like, it just doesn't. But gas isn't gas. Like there's different levels.
But even guys that are trying to pack on muscle, a lot of the time they just go geared towards calories. I
Yes.
need calories. I need calories. They
they
don't see the
put on weight.
protein aspect. Hey, I need to consume more grams of my, or what is it, grams per body weight or something like that. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you need to be consuming 200, 250 grams of protein.
Exactly. And so they just look about how many calories can it take in.
Yeah.
Which is fine if you're some like really small dude, super skinny, and you just want to put on weight. Like, you just need to eat. Like, you need to eat an excess amount because most likely you're not going to put on fat because your metabolism. So that's a general rule. It's not saying it's perfect, but there's a perfect way to do everything. Yeah. Or a more perfect way, I should say.
Just depends on how much money you want to spend.
Yeah. So for me, like, I don't think there is overtraining. Other people might say that I overtrain, but for me, I listen to my body. So if my body does start to feel a little worn out, I'll pull back a little bit just in some areas. Like, okay, I'll take off lives on this day and not do lives because I need a little bit more rest and there's not a fight coming up, so I can do that.
Yeah. The reason I ask too is because when I see you fight, you look completely different from when you're not fighting. Yeah. Like you're not in a camp. Yeah. And when you are, like, you look so, like you were even telling me the other day, you're like, I look like a skeleton. Yeah. You know, and I know because you're cutting. Yeah. I mean, how much weight you probably cutting?
When I make 185,
you told me you weren't cutting too much.
Not too much, but I mean, I usually start the week of the fight at 200 pounds. So there's 15. But I mean,
and I know it's normal.
Camp, I walk around like 210, 215. So I mean, anywhere around that is fine. Like,
and
that's
you see a lot of fighters do, you know, they look a lot different on weigh-ins compared to they do, you know, weeks after the fight, you know. But I just wonder sometimes if how much you're training, and I'm no expert at all. Just asking from a person who doesn't know shit. I'm learning from you right now. Could that affect, you know, you in the cage? You know,
it can. I mean, there are definitely guys who cutting too much weight and just like how much, because your body, like when you're at certain weights, like your body occupies different space, obviously. Meaning just like at 200 pounds, I occupy the same amount of space that I do at 185 in different ways. Like I hold myself differently. There's different amounts of fluid in my brain and things like that. Like your body just holds things differently at different weights. So, you know, there's been guys, you know, they get lower weight classes and they just get continuously knocked out. There's dudes at lower weights who can't hang for more than a round because they cut too much weight. Yeah. So that all depends on what they do. So I try to mitigate and eliminate as many factors as I can. So I try to recreate the same thing. Every weight cut is going to be different. Every weight cut will be harder in some ways than the other and easier in some ways than the other. But I try to mitigate as much as possible to keep them as close to the same as possible.
And that's kind of what I was getting to, because this past weekend, the fight didn't go the way you wanted. And I was wondering if that maybe was attributed to that. Do you think, looking back?
So, I mean, maybe. Like,
and I'm not taking anything away from the fighter at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. I mean, the guy threw a punch, like eyes closed.
It was like an overhand right, wasn't it?
Overhand right. You know, being a shorter fighter, that's what he should have thrown. But throw it a second later or a second earlier, and it doesn't connect how it did, and I probably end up taking him down and then winning in the next 60 seconds to a minute and a half. You know, taking nothing away from him. He threw it, but you know, after you lose something like that, I went back and watched it. And I mean, even if his eyes were open, I guess I would have felt better or worse. Maybe, I don't know. But like, he just threw with his eyes closed, throwing for the fences, which is what he did, which is fine. You know, and so it didn't go my way. Yeah. You know,
sometimes you get caught. You know.
Yeah, and you know, at 185, I've been caught twice now, like that. Not like that, but one was a lot better opponent. But I've been stunned more at 185 than I was in any other weight class.
Yeah, you used to fight at a higher weight class, right?
I mean, I fought at heavyweight. I had to cut weight in my first fight to make heavyweight.
What was your reason for dropping?
Just size, just to be the bigger guy.
Yeah. Do you think that was the right route, or do you think you maybe should have stayed?
I don't think it was the wrong route. I don't think,
because your cardio is good, you know, and I know in the heavier weights that's going to be a benefit to you.
Yeah, I don't think it really messed me up. Like, I mean, I've had good success at 185 too. Like, I've won a lot.
Yeah, I was just telling you earlier. I was like, damn, I didn't know how many fights.
Yeah, I mean, I was even.
How many fights do you have altogether?
Let's see. I had 14 at amateur, and I've had 4 at pro, so 18.
God damn, that's
18 in 7 years.
That's crazy.
And that was during COVID years too, so there was a whole year layoff where I couldn't fight pretty much, and surgery and stuff like that. But I mean, I would say, like, I've thought about this since the fight, since last week, since Saturday, you know. and talked to a couple people about it. I don't know if 185 makes it easier for dudes to kind of stun the button a little bit on my chin or affects my chin. I'm not sure. That's kind of something I got to talk to, my coach about, and I've talked to my nutritionist a little bit about, and my performance coach too, just to see what they think, because I can fight at 205. I mean, my nutritionist, she talks about if I want to fight at 205, be putting on like 10 pounds of muscle is what I need to do, which requires at least a couple months of like eating more calories and just like
lifting bigger weight.
Yeah, things like that, which would be fine. Which wouldn't be hard to do. It would just mean I wouldn't have to be as strict with a couple things. I can let my weight sit a little higher.
That's what I'm saying. You may feel a little better.
Yeah, and it'd be a little bit less of a hard cut just because I'd have more water on me and things like that.
Yeah.
And
and you're not a small guy.
No,
so.
So
you're what, 6'4",
6'4",
yeah,
6'4", 6'5". I mean, I was probably 6'5" back when I was like 20, and I probably shrunk a little bit. That's what
after jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, my spine's a little twisted now. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I've thought about it. It's one of those conversations I got to have with everybody on the team, because everybody on the team gets to have input. Obviously, the final decision is mine, but really, I respect Coach Jeremy and my mental coach and my performance coach, my nutritionist opinions. So what they have as opinions towards that idea really do affect the decision I make, just because I don't mind making 185. I don't necessarily love it. I don't love that cut, but it's not bad. I look forward to it as a cleansing period where I like kind of trial by fire myself. I kind of I heard Patty the Batty say it one time, and I kind of took to the same motto: is I get paid to make weight and I get to fight for fun. Yeah. So I kind of look at it that way. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I've missed
weight cuts.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I've missed weight at 185 before. Yeah. Like, I'm not saying I'm perfect.
What do they give you? A pound or half a pound? What is
pound? So you can be 186.
Okay.
Anything over that, you're usually giving 10 to 20% of your purse to the other dude.
Gotcha.
But
you think they'd increase that to kind of keep people from being more strict
I've taken late notice fights and been like, yeah, I'll make weight, and then I missed weight and I gave up like 30% of my purse.
Yeah, but if you had a full camp, to not different. Make weight, I feel is kind of like
it sucks. It sucks. I mean?
To the other fighter.
I've been the guy who's missed weight, and I've been the guy who's had weight missed on him, and I've still taken the fight. So like, guys are gonna fight because they want to put the camp out. Yeah. So like, we like a couple pounds, like you missed by 2-3 pounds. Like, I don't care. Like, I do and I don't.
Yeah, but if you're 7 pounds overweight, 7 pounds is some
bullshit.
There was a guy in the UFC recently that was like 7 pounds. One of the Dagestani guys.
Yeah, I think that was Chimaev.
Yeah,
yeah, because he wanted to fight Holland because Holland and him had some beef. So I think he purposely did it.
Yeah. Like, well, there's some stuff going around about that. I've seen some videos on it.
Yeah, that was weird. But yeah, so I mean, I think it can affect it. I don't necessarily give that the power because like I said, the dude hit me on the chin. Like, I mean, I watched it back and like.
Was it the chin? I thought it was actually
nah.
The back of your head.
I threw a jab a couple times and I came with a 2, and this hand came down, which necessarily isn't a mistake or a bad thing. It just happens. And then literally slow-mo the video, and my hand's right about here, and his hand just skims the top of my glove and hits right here.
Yeah.
And then his second punch, when I was frozen, and I was awake. Like, that's the thing is like, I wasn't out, like knocked out. I was just like, my brain shut off for a second. Like, in my body, I couldn't move it. So I'm just staring at the ground, and I'm like, what's going on? I was like, what just hit me? And then he hits me again, and which is right here. And that's the one that makes me fall to the ground. And like, as I'm falling to the ground, I'm like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
And I hit the ground, and I like pushed myself back up, and I was a little wobbly. Like, my equilibrium was off a little bit, but I just like went back and watched it. So I was super pissed after the fact. So I was like, what hit me? Like, how did I fuck up? Like, I don't think I overextended. I didn't put too much weight on my front foot, all these different things. I was like, I didn't pause. Like, I didn't like hit a bad angle. I was moving to the left. Like, I was doing all these right things. And I look back, and he's just eyes closed, big swing, like taking nothing away from him. He hit me. I mean, he won. Like, all that matters is there's a W or an L on your fucking card.
For sure.
But like, it was one of those things that happened, and I was like, well, that's a son of a bitch. Like,
what do you do to cope with that afterwards? Like,
man, right after, I was pissed. I mean, there's a lot of emotions that want to come out. So like, you try to hold it together, but you get all these things that rush to you. Like, after seeing the fight, it's easier to cope.
Do you watch it immediately, or do you kind of give some time?
I give it like a day. Sometimes I'll watch it immediately. It just depends on the mood.
Yeah, it's like when I was talking to you, when you text me, I was like, hey, man, I kind of just wanted to leave you alone because I didn't. I mean, what do you say? Better luck next time, buddy.
Yeah,
like keep your head up. It's like, dude, he doesn't want to be bothered after something like that. You know what I mean? I couldn't imagine. You know?
Like the worst thing and the best thing is that people want to make you feel better. So you know who's really there for you. For sure. But you also but at the same time, like you said, like I respected that you said that just because like, all right, man, like because you get it.
Give him some time. Give him a couple days and then reach out to him.
I love my mom. My mom's like my biggest cheerleader, one of my biggest cheerleaders, one of my biggest supporters. So is my dad. Like they, it's hard for them to watch their son fight, but they support everything.
Mr. Miyagi on that fly.
Right? I was watching. But they have been some of my biggest supporters. They come to all my fights no matter where they're at. Like win, loss, or draw, they always tell me that if this is something I love, like to keep chasing it.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Were they there that night?
Yeah.
So, how'd they feel?
So, I mean, my dad just goes like, you shouldn't have lost to that guy. And I was like, yeah. And, my dad, he was a cop for 30 some years. Taught me how to be a man, like old school, you know what I mean? Not like old school, like you beat the shit out of me or anything like that. Let's just make sure I preface that real quick.
I know what you
mean. I just always think when people say old school, they think of that. So I have to like clarify. Yeah. But like being a real man, like you own up to your shit. Like you push, you work hard, you grind. Like don't be a little baby about stuff. Like, So, and Coach Jeremy's super good about stuff after a fight, win or lose. He's always there, like to just be there for you as a person and as a coach. But it's awesome that my mom is a great cheerleader. Yeah. Really terrible after a loss in the sense of she wants to like make me feel better. And I'm like, I just want to feel this for a while and like let me deal with this emotion. And like, so like this time I was like, Mom, I love you, but I need you to shut up. And like I meant it in the nice sweetest character. Yeah. Like my mom's the best. Like I would never tell my mom to shut up, but I was just like, Mom, like I love you, but please like just stop.
Let me
like,
cope for a little bit. Yeah.
And it wasn't that she was trying to do it out of like a mean way or a bad way. She just wanted me to feel better. Yeah. And it wasn't that it was like like it's okay, you'll get him next time. It was her just being like very honest. She's like, you're a better fighter than that.
I bring it up because there was actually a fight before yours. I don't know if it was right before yours, but a guy got slept bad. Yeah. And I think he actually like bounced his head off the fucking mat.
Yeah. I saw that one. I was watching
and his dad, I don't know if it was the same guy. I might be wrong. It was so many fights. But I seen his dad over to the left and was frantic. I mean, he wanted to run into the gym. Zach had to calm him down. There was a couple of people there trying to calm him down.
That stuff's crazy, man.
And I couldn't imagine. And I was looking at him, and I've never seen anything like that. I'm like, well, fuck, man. I mean, if I had a son, I'd be freaking out too.
Yeah, because you're like, what's going on?
Because he didn't get up for a while.
Oh yeah, I remember. I was watching. He was out for a minute. Yeah,
he was out for a while.
Yeah, his name's Amir. Yeah, I've trained with him a couple times at Ignite. Yeah, but yeah, that's crazy. Like that, I don't know. I've never been on the other end of that, so I don't have to like worry about it, right? So it's like something that hasn't been. I've seen teammates that way, so I've had to like worry about them like that. But and obviously I've trained with him, so I was like, are you okay, man? Like, But I've also been that guy, so like I get
parents' perspective,
Yeah, like that was your child. That's your child. But my dad, my dad just kind of like he knew I was upset, and he was just like he was nice about it. And he thought I was getting more upset, and he's just like, all right, real quick, he's like, if you don't want to do this anymore, you don't have to do it. And I was like, because I'm upset. And he's just like, but if you want to do this, he's like, you don't fucking stop till the work's done. For like, sure. It just that man, that real shit. Like, he's like, I'm 65 and I fucking do shit every day. Yeah. He's like, you fucking keep doing shit and keep pushing yourself. Yeah. And keep. It's
like going at 100 or don't go in it at all. Till the wheels fall off. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And he's just like, if you want to do it, get it done. Whatever you want to accomplish, get it done. And that was more honestly what I needed to hear, just because like it was just like, yeah, everybody like, hey man, next time, like it'll get it, like next fight, blah blah, like it's okay, man, you didn't let us down, like we're proud of you still, all shit, like that's great, and I love to hear that, and I appreciate it. I appreciate it till like every day, especially when people say that, But when it comes from your dad or like someone you care about, like a coach or something like that too, like you hear it and it's just like. You're just like, like that's
it hits deep. Yeah,
that's that real.
It's what you need.
That's real shit. Like, hey, you can feel this right now, but like, Monday's coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was good. And then,
did you take some time off, or usually you're back in it? Like,
I mean, I was at class on Monday.
I knew you would.
I was working on some shit, working on my like my shoulders being up a little bit more, just trying to fix shit, drilling. Obviously, like my coach is good. He's like, hey, you need to not spar for a week or two, just to like
let your dome rest.
Even then, he's like, you can drill, but like we're not gonna hit you in the head. Like we're not doing that. Like we don't have fights coming up. End of the year's coming up. We're gonna take a little time, let your brain heal, things like that.
Yeah, because what's the time period on something like that take to kind of, it's just up in the air?
I mean, bro, everybody like scientist wise have their own opinion.
Yeah.
Nobody can tell you if you have CT till you die and they cut your head open, bro.
Yeah.
Like they want to talk about Aaron Hernandez and him being like the major case of CT and that Netflix documentary and all that stuff. And bro, nobody really knew till they cut his head open when he died and looked at his brain. Like,
or not even that. Think about how many people have CTE.
I mean, everybody has.
How many kids play football? You don't think they're getting fucking CTE? You ever done fucking the Oklahoma drills? I mean, they're getting fucked up.
So like for me, I'm just like, I've had in my life for real 2 concussions, both from fighting. Cool. I've had 2 where I've forgotten time.
Yeah.
Those are what I count real concussions. Little stingers here and there, whatever, man. Like.
I heard they're not. I heard they're still not good though. I mean,
they're not great.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying anytime you have one, like anytime you get your bell rung a little bit is not good, but you can get it rung in practice.
It's funny they did used to call it their stingers. Hey, rub some dirt on it.
Yeah, like you can get your bell rung in practice by accident. You know what I mean? Like dude throws a little harder and you throw your head into it, or you guys get going a little too hard because both of you want to be alpha male and like howl at the moon that day. Like shit happens. It is what it is. It's what I signed up for, and it's what I agreed to when I put my life in that wheelhouse. So for me, it's just part of it.
Yeah, it comes with
like
the
a race. A NASCAR driver knows that he could die on the fucking in the oval,
right?
And he's driving a car at 200 miles an hour. You know what I mean? Like his CT from a car crash, he could have the same CT as me after 60 fights from one car crash.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And he's not going to drive. He's not going to get hit in the head again for a while, but it's still the same.
Yeah.
Like he's not trying to get hit in the head. So for me, it's just
anything you do has a cost.
Everything has a cost. It's just, what is that cost? My cost is when I accomplish what I set out to accomplish with MMA, whatever I had to lay down along the way is worth it. Mm-hmm. I've sacrificed a lot to even be where I'm at right now, and I've had, Zach, Coach Jeremy, other people, even outside that, who have watched my journey from where I was at in amateur to now, they told me right now, my record, they're just like, you're such a better fighter than your record. You've just had some shit draws.
Yeah.
Even my last fight, like I said, not trying to take anything away from the guy, but like you throw that fight 10 times, like I win 9 of those and that guy wins that one. Mm-hmm. And I'll stand behind that. Not to be addicted to that guy. I'm a better fighter.
Yeah.
And not to sound cocky, but that just is what it is on paper.
Well, you got to be that way as a fighter.
Know what I mean?
You got to have that confidence in yourself.
And so when it comes down to it, like, I know I trained more than that guy. I know I trained, and it's just the way this shit happened. Like, that's why fighting is so hard, because the losses suck.
Yeah.
And the wins are fucking amazing. Like, I don't like to lose. I hate to lose as a competitor. I hate to lose at Old Maid to my nieces when I play cards with them. Mm-hmm. I love not just winning, but the feeling of winning is the best. Like, if my goal was to beat somebody, but I still got second, but I beat the person I want to beat, like that feeling of beating them is like what got me. Like, that's what I love.
Have you always had that competitive nature?
I tried to deny it as a child. I've only accepted it in the last like 5 or 6 years, really fighting. I always tried to be that dude who was like, I'm not competitive. Nah, like it's cool. Like there's some real pussy shit. Yeah. If I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I know people hate that word, but that's just really how it is. For any girls who watch this, like I swear I'm really like a chivalrous guy.
Hey, anybody who watches this show,
that's just the word. That's just the word that I have to use for it. Is it was some real like, let me be the teddy bear and be the guy who agrees with everybody and like wear my little sweater vest and my glasses and like, not that anything's wrong with that. I love a suited sweater vest, but I'm just saying like you can look sharp, but like I was very much trying to be the dude who pleased everybody. Yeah. And that wasn't me. Like I wanted to fucking rip people's throats out and like win shit.
You just didn't have the tools at the time to be able to
I just didn't
be confident about your
I just
competitive
didn't think
nature.
It was acceptable. I let other people determine what I thought was acceptable from me as a person. And so working with my mental coach and things like that, I've learned it's like, I am me, and you can accept me or not accept me. Respect me, don't respect me, but like, you're never going to question like who I am as a person or what I stand for, type of thing.
Yeah. And it sounds like your father wasn't that type. It seems like he was a tough guy, you know, I mean, especially like having the job he did. So you didn't get it from him. You think it was just people you hung around. You kind of mellowed out a little bit.
I think I fell into the trap that a lot of men fall into, especially nowadays, even more so, is that like the girl wants the sensitive guy.
Oh yeah.
The girl wants the,
that's what we think they want.
And I was fat.
Yeah.
So I was already a teddy bear. I was already told I was a teddy bear, bro, and I was bullied like a motherfucker growing up. I didn't go to public school, but I wasn't bullied at home. I was bullied by all my friends, and it wasn't necessarily that they meant to bully me. It's that they said those little quips that kids do, talking about stuff like about, oh, you're getting another plate of food, or oh, you're doing this, or oh, bro, like the girl would like my buddy but not me, but like then tell me, oh, if I was like looked like my buddy, she would date me instead because I had a better just shit like that.
Yeah.
Or like, oh yeah, I really like you because you have a great personality. Well, you told my like boy last time when you dated him, you liked him because he had a nice body. Like, you know what I mean? So it's those things that really drove me to just, well, as long as I'm like super agreeable and I buy people stuff and I buy my friends stuff and I do things for people and I'm a yes man and I always say yes to everybody when they ask me something, to do something for them, I'll have a lot of friends and girls will like me. You
kind of buy yourself love.
Yeah. And you become a people pleaser because you get people to love you and care about you that way. Right. And there's never anybody in my life that was a man or really a woman that were influences on me, parents wise, were like that. But it's like I wanted everybody's approval because I didn't approve of my own self. And I didn't understand that as a kid, obviously. And so as I've gotten older and then I got into MMA and like, I realized that like I love to fight. Like I love to punch and get punched in the face. And like if I could, and I've said this to a lot of people, if I could find something else that gave me the feeling of beating a man in a cage then I would 100% do it because it'd be easier than fighting.
Do you think that it comes from something in your childhood that is? They say a lot of people that are fighters, they have that, you know, that itch in them, you know, due to stuff when they were younger. You know what I mean? Shit they went through. I'm not saying all fighters had kind of a rough life or anything like that. And you said you had a pretty decent life, you know. So
like we were never, my dad, like my parents never, like I mean I got spanked and stuff, but my parents,
everyone's got their own shit.
They were never abusive.
You know?
Like when I say that, like my dad was old school or things like that. My parents were never abusive. They never like didn't feed us or you know like beat us or sexually assaulted us or any of that kind of shit. Not that stuff doesn't happen because it does. Believe me. I mean, look at like Sean Strickland. Like he talks about his dad and all that shit. Like he went through some shit.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And so when he fights, it's like that. I don't know how to explain it. Like he just, I mean, you know what I'm talking about, but to explain to the people watching, it's like you're trying to drown out everything. Yeah. And when you're on the mats and you're, you know, or fighting or whatever you're doing, everything's gone. Yeah. You know
like,
what I mean?
I love my teammates and I love the guys I train with, so I never want to like hurt them to where they can't train. But like if we were just like, if it was like in the cage, right? Or just like a street fight or whatever, like I kind of want to kill you. Yeah. Like
yeah, you're letting that shit out.
Legitimately, like without sounding like a serial killer or a murderer, like like I want to, for all intents and purposes, put you in a body bag. You know, like we're trying to simulate strangling the life out of somebody. Primal
instinct. You know?
Yeah. Like, you know, everybody always asks me, where do you want to go if you could travel anywhere now? I want to go to the Coliseum. Like, I want to go to where the dudes I'm trying to be like fought. Like I want to go to my ancestry. You know, like I want to go to like what I'm trying to imitate or what I'm trying to be. And there's this gauge, so it kind of goes along with the whole thing. This gauge that me and my mental coach talk about, and there's like the competitor, which is someone who just likes to be super tactical and like kind of like a wonder boy. Like he's really tactical. He's a really good fighter. He doesn't get into brawls or anything like that with most guys. He's really sharpshooter kind of fighter. Mitigates his damage, right? And then there's like the Nate Diaz, which is the brawler. He just likes to get in there and fight. I always thought I'd be more like the competitor. I'm more like the Nate Diaz. Like I'll like, and Coach Jeremy even tells me like he wants me to keep my head safe. He wants me to keep like distance, all these things. And I have to I've had to really try to do that because like I just want to get in there and bang and see who's gonna fall first. And that's fucked me up in some fights.
I was just watching a fight before you came over, and the commentators are like, "Yeah, it's crazy. James isn't taking him to the ground. He's just wanted to stand and bang with him." And I'm watching. I'm like, "Yeah, he just literally just wanted to throw blows. Like, fuck it, let's bang it out."
I'm telling you,
he's like, he keeps bringing him in the center of the cage. Like, I was like, "Shit."
Yeah,
because I mean, being from 10th Planet, you think you'd want to go to the ground every time.
I mean, I love jiu-jitsu, but like, I don't get to punch you that often.
True.
I don't get to punch people unmitigated. I can do a jiu-jitsu tournament and pop your knee and break your leg off all I want and choke you out and choke you unconscious. Yeah. But when I get to punch you in the face, man, like I get to put you down.
I know. Yeah.
Like it's honestly like
sort of a therapy.
Yeah, kinda. And I just look at it as like the ultimate, like the that feeling of winning is just like you just like dominated another human being. Yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, like the psychology of like the dudes who are like serial killers and like stuff like that. I understand the psychology of it. Like if you like everybody watches crime shows right now, right? Or the whole generation is fucked up because we all watch these serial killer crime shows and right. I get the psychology. Like they're all trying to look for power because they didn't have power usually when they were a kid or something like that. I never didn't have power. Like didn't, you know what I mean? Like it was never like any of that.
That's what I'm wondering. So where's that come from then?
Bro, I really wish I could tell you. Like, I think a lot of it came from being bullied unintentionally. And I think a lot of it came from making myself be a pussy, like be a very agreeable person.
All those times you wish you would have done this and you would have said that. I mean,
there are girls I dated, girls I didn't date, girls I wish I would have dated and asked out if I would have had more confidence or would have felt better about myself or things like that. Girls that I could have seen in my wife and have kids with right now. My life would be totally different. For sure. But like, and all those things when I fight come out. All those things when I get ready to get in that cage go through my brain of like all the things that I took from myself. Like I'm honestly most of the time pissed at myself. Like I love myself and I'm super well adjusted in the sense of like, I care about myself. I think I'm awesome. But I definitely like hate the person I used to be. Yeah. Because I was such a shell of who I should have been. And I let people push me around and I let people like tell me who I was and what was acceptable for myself.
Do you think that growing up with the friends that you had kind of giving you shit all the time, do you think that kind of pushed you into this transformation that you have? Or do you think that was just not the best approach they could have done? Because I've always been a big thing on, you can only tell somebody so much, and sometimes a little bit of tough love, whether it be in a joking way or kind of fucking with somebody like, hey man, stop being fucking fat, go fucking lift the weight or something, like giving them, like, hey, come on.
I think everybody should be bullied a little bit. Yeah. For real. Like not like, and like these kids nowadays who are just beating each other up in school, that's bullshit. Yeah. Like Tom DeBlast talks about it. Like he has his buddies against bullies, and like helps kids find like paid for training in jiu-jitsu when they get beat up in school and stuff like that. And it's an awesome program. So Tom DeBlast is the man for sure. Like on that level, like he's killing stuff with his program against bullies. Yeah. But like we should all give each other like in good natured shit. Yeah. Like we should all give each other stuff and make each other a little bit harder. Like you should be hard to kill, man. Like you should be rock solid. Like life isn't easy. Like we need to get a helmet, like put on a helmet and break through some walls and like do some shit.
And that's the problem. We're losing that right now.
Dude, kids aren't having that because everybody like that's the problem with men nowadays is we're told that men need to be emotionally intelligent and emotionally vulnerable, right? So like talk about your feelings. Bro, you want to know the quickest way for a woman to not respect you is to be vulnerable in front of her. Like cry in front of a woman. Like don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I'm perfect and haven't done it. I have done it in my life. But I'm telling you, to a degree, if you start, and I'm not talking about like when you lose your mom or your dad or like a relative or like some really shitty moments in your life. I'm talking you come home from a hard day at work and you start crying in front of your wife because your life was hard that day, bro, you just lost all the masculine energy in that relationship.
And the respect.
And the respect. Because what is your job as a man? It's supposed to be the foundation and the rock for that relationship, for her to be feminine and for her to be emotional and for her to rely on you because she needs to know that everything's taken care of.
You're supposed to be her foundation, her rock.
Yes. And whether you are religious or not, like you are supposed to be that rock in that relationship. And then you're relying on God, like, and you're relying on your religious or personal spiritual beliefs, whatever that may be. And it's like, you as soon as you tell a woman like, hey, we're going to lose the house and I don't know what to do, like, how the hell as a man do you not know what to do? Like, you got to figure some shit out.
Figure that shit out.
Right? Like,
better go get 2 jobs.
Bro,
I've always said
my dad worked he was a cop, worked at the airport at KCI security, and he'd be gone for like 24 to 36 hours sometimes doing both.
Yeah.
And like, I always wondered as a kid why we had to do that. Because my mom was staying home taking care of us kids and like teaching us because we were homeschooled. And I didn't understand at the time. I was just pissed that my dad was gone all the time, right? Yeah. And then as I've gotten older, I'm like, nah, my dad was being a man.
Yeah.
Like, he was being a real man taking care of shit.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
But he was being a real man, showing me without him intentionally showing me how to be a man and how to take
and you
care
didn't
of
see
stuff.
it at that point when you're younger, but he knew one day when you got older, you'd
Exactly,
understand. Especially when you have a family of your own and you have to.
Yeah.
And fuck, dude, how hard it is right now in this economy. I mean,
but like these dudes who are going out here and like the dudes who go and shoot up schools and the dudes who go and like cause riots and like beat up other people, those are the dudes who are being too emotional. They don't have an emotional intelligence. They don't have the ability to understand their emotions because they're just letting all this shit fly. And they're like, I feel mad, so I'm going to punch somebody. So they go punch somebody. Okay, I feel mad. I can feel mad and say I want to punch somebody too, but I don't go do it because I know that's not acceptable. And that's not the right thing. That's not emotionally evolved. And that's not the right thing to do because I understand my emotions. So, you know, I think people should be a little harder on each other. We should be a little bit more like,
you understand
we should hold each other to a higher standard.
You understand them now that for what MMA has done for you, right? I mean, because it humbles you. It teaches you discipline, self-respect, respect for others.
Confidence in yourself. 100%.
Confidence in yourself, which is, I think, you know, I went through the same struggle growing up. I was always the kid who tried to look hard or act hard, but deep down, I mean, I was just as scared as probably everybody else in that school,
100%.
you know, and, you know, even as an older man, you know, in my 20s, you know, I dealt with the same thing, being overweight. You know, you move out of your house at 18. I had a kid at a young age, gained a lot of weight. You know, I was like 230, 240. Felt like shit, drinking all the time, doing drugs, you know, just partying, you know. And, you know, when I hit in my mid-20s, you kind of go through things in life, things start kind of falling apart, and you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah,
you know? Bro. And then you start to realize like, oh, well, I don't have anything to make myself better. I'm just sitting here going along with everybody else who's kind of throwing their life down the drain by just partying and drinking. I mean, no benefit at all. And I'm not saying going out and having a good time isn't fun. It is.
No, it's not. I mean, I was there.
Everything's moderation.
Yeah.
You know? And so once I started getting back into physical fitness, realizing that working out 5 days a week is not fun all the time. Like it gets pretty fucking boring after a while. And then finding jiu-jitsu, Ryan actually was the one who told me about it when I used to get my hair cut up there where he worked. And then finding you guys and, you know, for the small amount of time I was there, really opened up my eyes to, oh shit, like I need this. You know what I mean? It's not something like, because what jiu-jitsu has brought me, and this can be in any other martial art as well, whatever you plan to do, it kind of grounds you and gives you reasons to do other things. So it made working out easier because, hey, I'm working out to make my body stronger so I don't get injured on the mat, or, you know, to try to be able to be stronger against, you know, your fellow teammates, you know, when you roll with them. And, you know, it taught me patience. It taught me being in difficult situations to calm down, breathe, relax, find solutions to this problem, which incorporates to life. You know what I mean? I mean, you don't know how many times, dude. I mean, I've had temper problems my whole life, dude. Right, you know, I can be a fucking asshole, you know? Same. And I live in a house full of women, never have in my life. I grew up with 4 brothers. My mom was the only woman in my household, and she's fucking tough. So I had
she's a tough lady, I'm sure.
Yeah, I had to figure out like being sensitive, and, you know, and even to this day, I'm still learning. Which is still like being sensitive and being understanding,
open to women's to their emotions. Right. Yeah. Like that is being masculine. If you're like the dudes who aren't open and who are the ones who don't listen to women, or they don't listen to their wife or their daughters or things like that, those are the men who can't handle those emotions because they don't know how to be a man.
And like that's where I was at, you know, in my early 20s and even towards my mid 20s, and, you know, developing over the last 6-7 years now of actually learning and trying to understand. It's like, oh, I wasn't being a man.
Yeah.
You know, I was getting pissed off, you know, fuck you. I don't want to listen to this shit. You know,
that's a hard pill to swallow.
It is, dude. And
super hard.
Dude, I mean, you don't know how many times I fucking be at work, just, you know, and I work in a very isolated environment, but I'd be at a machine just crying, you know, like just going through all the memories of, dude, you're a fucking asshole, man. Like, why the fuck are you doing this? You know? And then, and I've noticed since I've gotten back into jiu-jitsu, this year, and we'll never leave again. Hopefully, knock on wood, you know, fucking, I'm telling myself I'm never going to leave, you know,
making that choice.
I really do. You know, cause I need it.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not saying jiu-jitsu's for everybody.
Yeah.
I think it is, but I can't say it's for everybody. You know what I mean? But it has given me just, like I said, everything, man. I mean, from such somebody who looks at it as very minute, oh, you're just a bunch of guys that go and roll around on a mat. It's so much fucking more than that, man.
Dude, it's a community. It's a school, like in the sense of learning about yourself and discovery about yourself. Like, you want to really like do a personal dive on who you are as a man and a person or a woman. Like, I mean, women's jiu-jitsu is blowing up too.
Oh yeah.
And I think every woman should train just to have some knowledge of like how to control her body and how to protect herself on any degree.
Yeah.
You know, that's going to show you more things than lifting weights will. Not that lifting is bad. I mean, I love lifting. It started me off in my fitness.
You're a lot better than the 70% of America who doesn't do shit.
Right? Like, lift if you want to lift, but like, you want to really discover a lot of things and be pushed against other people and see what you are as a human. Like, jiu-jitsu will do that. So I think even if you're a hobbyist, you want to train one time a week, one time a month, like, that'll be. I don't know. I know the sport's developing. And I know it's getting, like, even seeing your guys' classes, you know, I follow you guys on social media from when I started with you guys. I mean, I think Blake was or Jeremy was a brown belt. Blake was like purple. A brown or purple. Yeah. And there was like, you were like maybe you and Eric were the only blue belt or something like that. Yeah. And to see your guys' classes now, I mean, you guys have like 20 deep in there, you know what I mean? And it's just, so it is getting bigger, you know, even our classes are fucking, I mean, insane. In the Midwest, it's just growing as a sport or
but why, I don't, what's taking why is it taking so long? You know what I mean? Cause I feel like with all the exposure with Joe Rogan and, you know, everybody, you know, pushing it, Tim Kennedy, all these big guys, you know, explaining that martial arts is the way to fucking go. That people think that, oh, if I go do this, I'm going to be more aggressive. I'm going to be more, you know, whatever. And it's the opposite. Yeah. You know,
well, you're fighting a paradigm. Maybe I'm not using the word correctly, but you're fighting this push of the world of be soft, be sensitive, be weaker, be more open to people. Everybody's view is right. Everybody's emotions are right. And we need to respect everybody's personal views. Fine, respect everybody's personal views. That's cool. Like, don't hate somebody because of X, Y, and Z. That's just stupid. But, like, and then jiu-jitsu is this, like, hey, you got to come earn it. Like, world is like, let's give everything for free. You deserve the world. Like, I mean, honestly, if you want to look at it this way, like, it's that girl that maybe you think is super hot. She's like, I'm a 10. I deserve a guy with a 6-figure salary. I deserve to drive a G-Wagon, and I deserve to, like, not have to cook or clean. And you're like, why do you deserve those things? Oh, because I just do, because that's my value. So you have the world telling us, like, hey, determine your own value, and, like, whatever you think your value is, you deserve that. Jiu-jitsu is the dude over here who's like, hey, man, you wanna have value, you got to earn it. Yeah. Like, a white belt, don't get me wrong, if you're a white belt, great. You're better than 90% of the people who aren't fucking training. Yeah. And you're better than probably 99% of the people on the street. They say it's
the hardest belt to get.
Right? Because you got to start. So props to white belts.
That's the most intimidating factor.
White belt is going to be the easiest belt you should get. Yeah. Like, it is the hardest in the sense of you have to show up. Yeah. But
just walking through the doors, that's very intimidating.
That's hard. Yeah. But staying, and then blue belt, and obviously you have to earn everything. Like, white belt is the only one given by walking through the door.
For sure.
Right? That's a better way to put it. It's not the easiest. It's the only one given to you from walking through the door. You are given a white belt and said, hey, you showed up today. Here's your white belt. Yeah. Period. Yeah. Because if you're doing gi, you got to be able to tie your gi shut. Yeah. And if you're not doing, and you're doing no gi, you stand in the back of the line. You're like, hey, this is your first day. You're a white belt. Yeah. Great. You're going to be a white belt till you get your blue belt. Yeah. Now, Showing up will be hard. Yes, that's the hard about being a white belt, but it's the easiest belt to get because it's given to you when you get through the door. Yeah. But after that, like, you got to earn everything. Nobody gives a shit if you're a hobbyist. I care. Like, Tom DeBlas did this too, which I've learned a lot from him just in his own, because he's a smart dude. But I care if you're injured. I care if you don't feel good and you feel sick. I care if you like are having a hard time at home, if life's hard. I care about all that if you're a hobbyist. If you're a competitor, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Show the fuck up to class and do what you're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
And like, work it out, man. You got shit you want to accomplish. Like, get it done. In life in general, it's that way.
Yeah.
Like, if you tell me you want to do things a certain way and you want to be held to a standard, I'm going to hold you to that standard. And that's where you got to be at.
Yeah.
Come hell or high water, like, get the shit done.
Yeah.
If you just are like, hey, I like where my life's at, I like coasting, like, I want you to care about my feelings. All right, cool, I'll care about your feelings. Then I'm going to care about that. I'm going to care about every little thing that goes on. So that's where you're at.
Yeah.
So with jiu-jitsu growing, people don't want to be held to any kind of standard, and they don't want to be uncomfortable.
What do you think that is, though, that's causing that? You think just media and kind of what the government's pushing, and
our government, everybody wants everything handed to them.
Mm-hmm.
The way people are getting handouts from whether it's the government and like EBT and
mm-hmm.
food stamps and free checks for COVID.
You don't have to work
and
for anything.
You're getting a free donut when you get a COVID shot. And you're getting a free pizza when you get a COVID shot. Like, they just, my roommate, she was telling me, she was pointing out, like, shout out to my roommate because she's awesome and she helps me food prep, and she's one of my best friends, obviously. Mm-hmm. She helps me food prep, so shout out to my roommate Erica. She's awesome. One of my best friends for sure. And she has to put me during fight camp, so appreciate her for that. But like, you just have to, you get like, it was she showed me that she was like, hey, do you still have student loans from college? And I was like, yeah, like, I don't use my degree as a music major in college, so obviously I'm not using that right now because I'm punching people in the face. I'm not recording records or doing anything like that anymore. But she's like, oh, like, they just started up your payments again because the COVID Act or whatever happened during COVID ended. And I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh, Papa John's will give you a free pizza. Like, you just have to show that you have student loans. And I'm like, I don't want a free fucking pizza. Like, you're like, oh, so you're gonna make me fat again? Like, you just want, like, so it's the world's giving you so many free things to hinder you from being harder, from being, and
weird things too. Dude, it's like, give things. You a donut, like, you don't want me to die from shot. You don't want me to die from COVID, but
you're gonna give me a free donut every day for a week.
Literally a diabetes roll. You know, like, what and the fuck? So
those things are just weird, man. And I think it comes from the world. I think jiu-jitsu is the opposite of what the world's
scary thing. It's coming from health professionals,
right?
That's the fucking scary thing.
They're telling you to stay out of a gym, but yet you can go get fast food or go to the grocery store. You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's scary, man. COVID really opened up my eyes to the our healthcare system, and it's fucking scary, man. You know, I was always so trusting. You go into them, and you're just like, and then take this, do this, and then you start to look at things, and you know, I've argued with many people. I used to have a podcast before called Purple Pill, and we were really against everything during that whole time, and just upset with how much the government had failed everybody, you know, and it really opened up my eyes to just kind of the bullshit, the trash that they're putting out, you know. And I think for a long time I was just like, okay, you know, like these guys have a lab coat and a fucking. Well,
you expect as a human that they're looking out for your best interest, but they're not. They're looking out for the dollar value. That's all it really is.
Yeah.
And you know, some people, some healthcare professionals, some doctors do care about you as a person, and so they don't push those meds. But a lot, like,
the sad thing is they're kind of silenced by the rest of them.
Yeah, you know I mean, the minority is getting silenced by the majority in that healthcare world, and that's really sad. You know?
Or the opposite, the majority is being silenced by the minority. Because I feel like a lot of the times it's the minority voice on social media, and you know, but they hold somehow a big power over everybody.
Yeah, because they shame you because they want you to feel bad.
Right, but it's weird though. Why feel shamed? Who gives a fuck? You know,
I
guess at that level, lose your job.
Yeah,
they can take your job like that.
I mean, what, like 10 to 12 years of college to be a doctor, and then you can lose it in a year because
and then you're stuck there going, well, damn,
you disagree with some non-doctor on Instagram, and so they pull your medical license, like, and you just lost it. Yeah. And now you got to like try to argue to get it back. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, it's horrible, man. And you know, you're right, man. When I first realized,
pharmacists who were prescribing, like filling ivermectin scripts and stuff for people that doctors were prescribing who had COVID, when they were saying ivermectin wasn't working, but it was working. Yeah. And it was helping people get, you know, Joe Rogan took it, and they were all shaming him for saying he was taking horse dewormer, and then like, I knew pharmacists that were about to lose their job and get their pharmacy, like getting their ability to fill prescriptions at the pharmacy, like at Walgreens, CVS, private ones, going to get it pulled because they were getting in trouble by the healthcare industry because they were filling it. Like, and these dudes went to school, you know, for what, 6, 7, 8 years to become a pharmacist. Like, you're a doctor.
Yeah. I had so many family members and people I know try arguing with me, and you know, I try to explain to them, because their thing was is they'd shame me all the time by, oh, you're just finding this shit on YouTube. It's like, bro, what's the difference? In my mind, looking at the stuff on YouTube, being able to look at independent studies and other people's point of views, and being able to come up with my, you know, thought on this whole deal, you know what I mean? By taking all these different arguments. And I wouldn't just listen to one side. I would listen to both to try to see, like, what the fuck, what's not adding up here? Let me read between the lines here. And ultimately make my decision, which I feel like everyone should have been able to. Yeah. You shouldn't have been threatened by your getting your job taken away. You shouldn't have been threatened of you can't go to this place or this place. Yeah. I mean, I couldn't even go on a cruise because wasn't vaccinated. Our family wasn't vaccinated. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
like,
well,
insane. And now, what happened?
No one cares.
Because no one cares now.
Well,
and
that's the same thing.
Well, they actually thought about starting it up.
Yeah.
But that kind of faded away. I feel like
heard
real
whispers
quick
of like another lockdown, and then
more masks, which was pissing me off because, dude, I was so upset during that whole time with my kid wearing that fucking nasty ass mask.
I've been pissed.
Yeah, all the time. Like I was trying to like at least change him out for her. I would tell her all the time, put the shit under your fucking nose. You know, breathe. You know, well, my teachers, they get mad. I mean, literally wanted to go up there and punch somebody, dude. I was fucking so pissed. My nieces
and nephews were the same way, man.
And even as a man, dude, it's like I felt helpless.
Helpless. You felt like you couldn't do anything.
And everybody's like, well, take your kid out of school and do a private school. And it's like, motherfucker.
How expensive is that, bro?
Yeah,
like,
it's like Tim Kennedy would talk about it a lot. And I love Tim Kennedy.
Yeah.
But he's like, you know, as a man, you need to like basically provide for your family in the right way. And if public school's not doing that, which I totally agree, but it's like, is it really realistic? Yeah. Maybe if I would have started at the beginning correctly and had all this knowledge.
But now it's like,
I'm so deep into this. Like, I make pretty decent money. My wife works. She makes pretty decent money. And it's still difficult to get by right now, dude.
It's still super hard to do right now.
So how can I pull them out and pay whatever tuition is in a private school? But then we got to
have like less food on the table or less amenities at home that they need more than that.
We can't go on 1 or 2 vacations a year because we're sacrificing for this because of these assholes.
Which they're not even like crazy vacations either. Like, they're good vacations. Yeah. But they're not like, we're not going to the Bahamas.
Yeah, we're not going to Italy
or
fucking Egypt or some shit, you know? And it's sad because of these assholes that are interfering in a public school, which shouldn't be interfered with. There should be a curriculum set, rules and standards and procedures set. It should be to where everyone, and you're not going to make everybody happy, but it should be where it's not infringing on people's health or, you know,
listening to the parents. Like, the parents have way less say than they used to. It's just crazy that they do.
Well, and then, you know, that's what a lot of them say too, is get involved in your PTA meet or, you know, whatever the meetings are.
When the law's telling you they have to wear a mask in school.
Exactly.
Like,
that's what I try to explain to them, man. It's like, you can only do so much, and then you're just trumped on it because they hold the power.
Yeah.
You can have the whole fucking school, every parent saying, I don't want my kid to do this. And they'll go, well, I don't give a fuck. Yeah. You know, you're going to do it. So, which is crazy because we're literally the ones funding that school. But, you know.
Yeah, you are. It's your paycheck in mine, bro.
It's fucking sad, man. But yeah, that whole thing, man, it was a very weird time. You know, really opened up my eyes to the fuckery behind all that, you know, the healthcare with the dollar and how more important that was from actually saving lives. Yeah. And even, and that's kind of where it led me off to like, looking into other forms of health. You know, I think Western medicine the Eastern, Western medicine, seeing the differences in them. I'm not saying one side's right and one side's wrong, but taking the good from both and other therapies and stuff like that, because from what I've seen in doctors, they just are quick to give you a pill.
100%.
It's just, that's it. It's like, take this pill.
That pharmacy kickback or, whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't know how the doctors work, obviously.
Well, the sad part is these pharmaceutical companies come in and they take these people out to lunch.
Oh, yeah.
And they'll be like, well, that's no, it happens.
And
Trust me.
They get a bunch of swag, whatever it is, we don't really know, but they run the pharmaceutical companies run everything in the sense of like,
if I had to put money on it, that's what I would bet. How much did Pfizer make off of those fucking vaccines?
I mean, I
don't. Oh, it was
I don't
free.
Necessarily like
Nothing's free.
I love the Chiefs and I love Travis Kelce, but the fact that Aaron Rodgers calls him Mr. Pfizer now is the funniest fucking shit.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, because he's in the Pfizer
I love
commercial.
Aaron Rodgers, man.
So Aaron Rodgers, he like on interviews literally calls Travis Kelce Mr. Pfizer. He's like, yeah, Taylor Swift and Mr. Pfizer. 100%. It's funny as shit.
How do you think they get those guys just so duped? I mean, is it money?
Money. 100% money.
That's sad,
Travis
man. You
Kelce
sell your soul like that.
could not have the vaccine. I'm sure he does. But he could not be vaccinated, and he would still be Pfizer commercial because of the money. Wow. Guaranteed, bro.
That's insane, man. To sell your soul like that, dude. And it's, you think they're kind of older, and stuff, but really they're in their 20s. So I can understand. I made stupid decisions when I was.
Travis is in his 30s.
20.
He's in his 30s? I think he's in his 30s. But
yeah, he should probably know then.
He should. But that also, if they're like, hey, here's $30 million for this one commercial, it's going to take a half a day to film. Like,
and they're living in an echo chamber, man. They're not really. I mean,
everybody's telling them to make the money.
Yeah, fuck it, I mean, maybe he's just like, fuck it. This is how the world is. No one gives a fuck, But, it's sad because, these guys hold a lot of power, with their social status. And I don't think they realize the impact they have on a majority of America who are basically, just NPCs that just go along with whatever the fucking talking heads say and whatever they see on TV. And, I don't blame them. It's kind of hard, especially as when you hold a 9-to-5 job. Having to do the research and understand everything. Yeah. It's like a full-time fucking job. And I know this because I work in a job where I'm isolated for 10 to 12 hours a day and I listen to this stuff all day. And the amount of content I listen to, I go, holy shit. When I did have a normal job, which was just last year where I couldn't do that, I was out of the loop on everything. Because when I got home, I didn't want to fucking go listen to that shit. Dude. Yeah,
you didn't want to read the articles and things like that.
Exactly. It was easier for me to listen to it while I'm at work with my headphones. I had it's crazy, man. But
I'll use the restroom.
No, you're good, man. No, we can pause. We'll come back. We'll be back. All right, man. So we're back.
Hey,
you good now?
Yeah, bro. My bladder was so full the last 20 minutes. I was like, I have to pee, but I was like, we're gonna keep talking for a while, so I'm just gonna go to the bathroom now. I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna go now. It's like time out, pause. I was like,
you were saying you just had your 3 teeth pulled?
Bro, I had 4 teeth pulled. Sorry.
4 teeth?
4. Yeah, I had 2 wisdoms. I had one that was cracked from a fight, and they were like, all right, I'm terrible about going to the dentist.
Yeah,
I will put that off until shit's falling out of my mouth.
Yeah,
which is a terrible habit. It's just I love my mother, but I got her her teeth are nice because she works really hard at it. I brush my teeth twice a day. I floss. I do all the things, and what happens? My teeth still have a cavity every time I go to the doctor, the dentist. No matter what, I've tried. I use the Sonicare, the little spin brush, the water pick, all that stuff. No, natural remedies. No. I'm just screwed every time I go. It'll all be fake. That's why that's why I'm gonna make it in MMA so I can buy a whole fake smile when I'm done. Just all implants.
Get
just
veneers.
Fake. Yeah, bro. Just be all fake. I don't even care.
Yeah.
But no, they had to pull wisdom teeth in the back, and then
were they impacted or were they out?
They were out, so they just pulled. And they didn't have to do any surgery. So I just got holes right now, bro. Just chilling. I had blood in my mouth. It was like I got done with a fight because I just had all this blood in my mouth. But they went quick. North Kansas City Dental here in KC, they were legit.
Dude, I can't stand when they stick you with the syringe and the gums.
They were. I didn't feel anything, so they were awesome. Great dentist. Gone to them for a long time. They're awesome. But yeah, bro, he numbed me up. I was like, cool. I feel good. Everything feels great. And then crack. It was 30 minutes. He had all 4 out. I was just chilling. I had the little hillbilly teeth right here because I broke one in 2 fights ago. It was already kind of broken, but they're like, oh, we're going to root canal it, put a crown on it. It'd be fine. Nope. Got punched, broke it in half. And they're like, yeah, that's dead now. So we're just going to pull that one.
Even with a good mouthpiece, a lot of fighters tend to lose teeth.
Best mouthpiece in the world. bullshit. The right dude hits you, like, you can break shit. I bit through my lip one time, like I was fucked up. Fuck. I got a scar down here from a knee where my teeth almost came through my chin. Like,
fuck, man.
I spent $200 on a mouthpiece and this shit don't work. So, yeah, like customs. Like, I guess the only thing I haven't tried is like a full true custom because I keep having to get my teeth worked on. So, after I get this done, then I'll probably get a full custom one where I like do the whole like $200, $300 mouthpiece, like, and try it. But man, I've tried all of them, and it just. Nothing's ever gonna be perfect. Yeah. You're just gonna have to deal with it. It's just part, again, mitigating risk. Like, you just might lose a tooth, bro.
Yeah, fuck, dude. That's always my worst fear in jiu-jitsu. So, I get kneed in the face a lot, dude.
Bro, I get kneed and hit in the face more in jiu-jitsu than I'm doing MMA, for real.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
That's the worst.
I wear a mouthpiece sometimes, not all the time.
Oh, I'm religious because Coach Blake has just shown a choke on me and I didn't have my mouthpiece in and I cracked the tooth.
Oh.
Like, and it wasn't even that he did it too hard. It wasn't his fault. Like,
I think because a lot of guys at our gym don't wear it.
I got shit. There are a lot of guys I know some dudes who chew, not at our gym, but I've rolled with dudes who chew gum while they roll. I'm like, bro, you trying to die?
Yeah, I seen it. I know a guy that does that.
Like, what the hell are you doing, bro? Yeah. Like, Eric doesn't really wear a mouth guard at our school.
Yeah,
and he's fine. He never fucks up his teeth. He doesn't even wear one when he spars. When we box, and I'm just like, bro, you're crazy. Like, he thinks. I was like, you're the craziest dude I've met for real. Yeah. Like, he's such a cool dude, though, because me and him came up through jiu-jitsu together. We've been training the same amount of time. Mm-hmm. But he's just so crazy. I'm like, why do you not wear a mouthpiece?
I have a small Kevlar mouthpiece. It's like the thinnest mouthpiece on Amazon.
Like, my last one I just wore my fight was $80-some, and my teeth still hurt the next day.
I've just noticed since I have a couple of my mouthpieces from before, and I've worn them, it's just they're hard to breathe. You know, and the thinner they are, the more.
I wear mine so much, but I like the thinner they are is nicer. It's just not as protective.
Yeah.
But if you're just doing jiu-jitsu, I think you can get away with, like, there's like these ones called Sisu, like SISU, and they're just like really thin plastic molds. Mm-hmm. They're good.
That's how mine are. It's just a Kevlar, real thin plastic.
Those are cool. I'm cool with that because it's just to help with the grinding. Like, you ain't gonna get like hit. But if I'm fighting, bro, I'm trying to have like. There is the thing. I've had some way too big ones where like my lips all popped out and like. Then I've really fucked up my lip. Like, my lips used to get cut up all the time.
Yeah.
But I use OPRO now. OPRO. They're one that's partnered with the UFC. Like, it was my last fight. It's probably my favorite so far. Yeah. They're like the best that like fit really tight to your teeth and like make them feel really secure. And you can like, it's hard to even tell you have it in. So I like it.
I know, dude. My worst fear is losing a tooth because I had my wisdom teeth pulled out.
Yeah.
Last year, worst pain of my life, and
bro, for real, I'm not even like I said, I'm not even.
Well, it wasn't that I got them pulled, so I had two impacted on the bottom, and they had to put me under. So, and the top two were good.
I'm not about that whole going to sleep thing, bro.
It was weird. They put that shit on me, fucking in my vein, and then they were like, okay, well, it's gonna be. You'll go out here in a second. I'm like, I don't think this shit's working. Yeah. Woke up later, like. Fuck, where the fuck am I, dude? Like, loopy as fuck, bro. Like, and it was weird because they didn't give me any type of antibiotic.
Okay.
Which I thought was weird. That's a dirtiest fucking part of your body, I feel like, is your mouth, right? You know?
And well, you'll have the most complications from like dental surgery usually.
Yeah. So dudes like
swollen and puffy and all that
dudes shit. Like, oh yeah, nah, you don't need it, which is weird because my wife had gotten hers removed some years back. They gave her amoxicillin, I think it was. Yeah. And she was fine. And she had the same procedure as me.
Because usually you're getting removed because they're infected.
Or well, that's the thing is I had a small infection on like the right side, I think it was. So I thought that was weird. I mean, he had the x-rays to see. You can see where the infection is. It's like a little pocket. Yeah. And didn't give it to me. So I was just like, I'm fucked up. So I'm just like, oh, okay. And then I just leave. And 3, 4, 5 days go by and I can't sleep. I had the worst headache of my entire life. Like I wanted, it was so bad, dude. I was like, I want to shoot myself. Like I want this to stop. I have never had something like that in my life. So I go and I'm like up crying at night, dude. And I can take pain pretty well.
Teeth pain though? Like that's a whole, two things in my life that like, here's for all the people who, if you're ever going to torture me for like, cause you need information from me, tooth pain and eye pain are the worst.
Oh, I haven't had eye pain.
Bruh, yes.
Oh, I guess you've probably gotten some pokes probably, haven't you?
Bruh, well, I'll tell you some stories about that in a moment after we get over this tooth pain. But tooth pain, like, it's different than like your shoulder, your elbow, your arm, or your foot hurts. Like you can stop moving those, right? And like the pain subsides.
Kind of brace it, you know. Yeah.
You can't put a brace on your teeth. It just hurts. And the thing is like you can't eat hot or cold. You can't drink hot or cold.
Oh, dude.
Like it's always so
sensitive.
bad. And like then your jaw starts to hurt, and then you get an infection, and then you're pissed off, and then your shit starts to swell because your face is so sensitive.
Yeah. And
then you're just like, this is the worst. Like if you want to really torture somebody, grind their teeth down to where all the nerves show, and then just like let them sit there, because it's gonna be the worst fucking pain in their entire life.
That's what happened, dude. Is that I'm up at night and I can feel the pain going from my mouth closer and closer to my head. And I'm like, God. What the fuck? Because it was just, it would hurt a little higher and then a little higher. And then all of a sudden my whole head was hurting. Yeah. And I was like, I can't sleep. They gave me oxycodones, which I'm not a real big pill guy, so I don't really fuck with them. Never. I was popping like 2 or 3 of them a day, bro. And you're only supposed to take like 1 or 2 or every 6 hours.
Yeah, I think definitely not operate any kind of car machinery.
Bro, I was at work and shit. I'm like operating fucking CNC machines. And I'm just popping them. Like I think it got so bad, I was popping them like every 2 hours.
Yeah, and then you're wondering how people become addicts.
Yeah, like, and that's what I was worried about too.
Like,
because
the fuck is this,
bro? I mean, I'm not here to condone, but I understand why they get addicted to those fucking things,
dude.
Awesome. I mean, they make everything fucking go away. You're like, oh shit, dude.
Like I'm 22 years old again, great, and like ready to go.
But over time, it's such a bad deal. I've seen so many guys just go off the deep end, fucking bad. But luckily, I've never really had an addictive personality. I think the only thing I've really been
thank God one of us hasn't,
dude. Well, I used to be addicted to cigarettes a lot. I smoked a lot of cigarettes, dude. And
nicotine's addicted though.
Yeah,
so
but it's weird, dude. I've done a lot of fucking drugs, man. I mean, and I've never had an issue. It was always like a weekend thing.
Yeah.
Monday I was fine, Monday through Friday. Yeah. But cigarettes, it's like, oh, dude.
Yeah, weed. Like I used to smoke weed like pretty often. You know, weed's legal now, so it doesn't really matter if you smoke.
Yeah.
Weed. But like, never got addicted to it. I knew to where I'm like, cigars, alcohol, But like, if I like it, like. In college, bro, I was drinking so much and smoking cigars so much, like.
Well, that's another thing too. I guess I was alcohol. I mean, like, alcohol was.
I'm that dude who knows, like, if I ever did like a hard drug that was addictive, like those are things that necessarily aren't addictive, right? I know I'm the dude who, like, if I did a hard drug, like cocaine, meth, or even like pills, Oxy, Vicodin, things like that, dude. If it makes me feel a certain way that I can't get from anything else, like. I mean, let's be real, fighting here, boys and girls. Like, fighting is addictive. Why? Because it gives me a feeling when I win like nothing else. Like
dopamine rush,
bro. That dopamine rush.
I can't imagine.
Bro, if you win, I don't care how much pain I'm in after, bro. I've literally my knee popped out of place in a fight and popped back in, and I won. And I'm telling you, that was worth it.
Yeah, it's way different than team sports. I mean, the lights are all on you. You know, it does take a team. To get you where you're at, you know, all the guys at your gym.
But when you're in there, it's just you.
Just you.
And that's the thing I love about it. Like, it's a team sport, so there's camaraderie. But then when it, like, cage closes, you're like, I get all the glory. Or when you lose, like I did this last week, you get all the, like, hard shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's
the worst part is, like, my loss was the highlight reel. So, like, the promotion, I ain't faulting them. They just played a lot. And I'm like, yep. That's what happens when that shit happens.
What makes you feel any better? You weren't the only one that night.
I was like, thank God I wasn't the only one.
There was a lot of fucking knockouts, dude.
And I wasn't the quickest, so I was like, and I got up.
Oh, was there a quicker one? Because that one was pretty quick.
Yeah, there was like a 4-second one.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, so I was like, thank you.
There was a couple of times I was in the bathroom waiting in a long-ass line, so I missed some fights. But.
Yeah. No, there was the one dude, Amir, who got knocked out. His was like 5 seconds. I was like, thank the Lord Jesus in heaven.
Yeah, you're like, fuck. I skated away by 2-3 seconds.
Bro. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those things. But yeah, like fighting's addictive. But yeah, I mean, I get it. Like that fucking. So what ended up happening? What did you with your tooth?
Oh, dude, I went there and I had another oral surgeon look at my tooth because that one wasn't in. He was a traveling one.
Yeah.
And he goes, why didn't he give you any antibiotics? He says, the mouth is the dirtiest part of your body, you know? And I was like, hey, well, you tell me, man, you guys aren't all on the same fucking page here. Like, you guys don't have meetings about this shit. Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to get you.
You don't have a standard practice?
Dude, they don't. That's the crazy thing about it. What? In the medical field too, it's whatever they think. Whatever their group of fucking, I don't know how they do it. I'm not going to act like I know.
Yeah.
But I've seen this doctor tell me one thing and this doctor tell me one thing. So he cleans my shit out and gives me amoxicillin, and I feel great afterwards. Dude, my whole fucking thing was blown up. The taste of an infected wound in your mouth. I can't even describe.
That sounds disgusting.
How disgusting. It tastes like you have.
Like you were just licking somebody's butthole, bro.
Dude, no. Fucking ass tastes fucking. No, hey, man. Hey, bro. I ain't going to talk shit about ass eating, dog. Ain't nothing wrong with a little bit of ass eating. Ain't nothing wrong.
Whoa.
This was fucking disgusting.
Okay.
All right. Now, it was like a fucking, I don't even know how to explain it. A roll of quarters in your mouth that were fucking just
like that
tangy, just nasty.
Ew.
But then it was like sour and just, I don't even know.
That
dude.
sounds disgusting.
It was fucking gross, dude. And it was just oozing out of my mouth like every hour.
That's disgusting.
You know? And so I take that. I'm good after a while. You know, dude, my whole jaw was just, I don't even explain it.
For a while,
it was fucked so bad, dude. And luckily I didn't have any issues coming off the pills and shit like that. But yeah, man, it opened up my eyes. Just not too long ago, I fight perioral dermatitis a lot on my face. Okay. And so I get a lot of redness around here, around my nose. And the ghee doesn't fucking help. No. I've noticed being no ghee with you guys. Yeah. And the ghee is just so fucking hard on the skin, dude.
Bro,
it's like a carpet.
Yeah,
like a rope. Not even carpet, a rope. Yeah,
it's like rope.
And just having it rubbed on your face, and you know, some of these guys, just the pressure's insane, you know. And you know, you get that fucking arm right in your fucking face,
with
you know,
that ghee and just rips across you. And you get fucking ghee burn on your face,
dude. So it was making my shit just flare up so bad. And I had gone to my primary care physician, and they prescribed me a steroid for my face. Well, I did some research, and I was like, hey, I'm not a doctor, but Google says a steroid's the worst thing that you could use on your face. And I've seen multiple articles talk about it. No, this will be fine. All right, well, I'm gonna trust you. You fucking went to fucking more schooling than I did. So I go home.
More money for your degree than
I go home, even though the dude was like 100 pounds overweight, but you know, I tried to trust him, you know, on his health, you know, like, maybe he's not good with his diet, but maybe he understands skin. He didn't. It made my shit even worse. And I've been battling that shit for 4 years, man. And I finally went to go see a dermatologist, and I told him about it. And he goes, oh no, you don't use a steroid on your face. And I was like, well, are you guys not on the same page about this shit? He's like, well, I specialize in skin. Okay. Yeah. He doesn't, you know, if I was trying to diagnose blood pressure and, you know, whatever they do, you know, mainly, I wouldn't be able to do that, you know? But then, he gave me what I did. And I told it, dude, I looked this all up on the internet, bro. I knew I needed an antibiotic. I knew I needed this. I can't remember what the cream was called, but it wasn't a steroid. Yeah. I told him before he even prescribed it to me. And he was like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, we're going to get you that, you know? And it went away, you know? And it still flares up from time to time, depending on, you know, I go to class pretty frequently, so kind of, you know, it's real aggressive.
But it's way less than
way
it was,
less,
right?
dude.
I mean, it less on the steroid.
It was spreading like all over my face.
Yeah,
man.
It was not looking like an attractive man.
No, dude. Rough, bro. And I was like, fuck, out of my whole body, it's got to be on my fucking face. Nothing's wrong with my skin anywhere else. Just this shit couldn't be on my thighs, you know. But yeah, man, it just really opened up my eyes to nobody is on the same page. Like I was like, man, is there not like a world health, you know, deal like that?
Isn't the WHO supposed to be like part of this shit?
Are they? Or are they just out there experimenting on shit?
Bro,
on bats and shit.
Well, that's the thing too, is I'm like, okay, so we have the world, the internet, and then they're like, well, accept like healthcare professionals' word on stuff. And I'm like, but then you tell us that we have to fact check shit. So we go and fact check it, and like, well, like 90% of the internet's saying this stuff works and we shouldn't do it this way, but the way you're saying is just the way that makes more money. Like, I'm going to trust the way that
Or he's just like, dude, it's fucking 3:30 in the afternoon. I'm trying to get the fuck out of here. Take this fucking ointment, you know? I mean, because, dude, honestly, after how long do you do a job to where it's just a job?
Well, that's right. Well, that's the thing. I mean, like, so MMA, jiu-jitsu, right? Like, let's talk about another skin issue, like staph infection or MRSA, right? Or ringworm, whatever you want to, right? Dudes just like get it and like go to the doctor and like, oh, here's a antibiotic. Take it for 10 days. It'll go away.
Yeah.
Right? Bro, those antibiotics fuck you up. Like, they don't, and then like the dude.
I just came off some, I know.
And then the dude like can't really even tell you that like they're never like, which luckily, knock on wood, I haven't had staph or ringworm or MRSA since training jiu-jitsu and MMA. Been around guys who have, not necessarily at 10th Planet, but other schools where I've gone and visited.
What do you do to keep from getting that shit?
Bro, I use defense wipes and defense products like a mother trucker. I shower with their shower gel. I have their medical bar. So like if I go to a school, like if I'm traveling or flying around or going on vacation, I go like dropping at another 10th Planet. Yeah. Which luckily at 10th Planet, for the most part, when I've been there, it's usually honestly like other schools that are like, they kind of feel scuzzy when you walk into. Like I went to this one when I was on vacation. And I was just trying to get some rolls in because, like, if I don't roll for like 2 days, I start to get like the cocaine crack. I'm like, you got rolls, bro. Like, I need to choke somebody out. Like, right? I'd be like, bro, you're trying to like hang out and like be on vacation. Yeah, I need to choke somebody out though. That's where I'm at. But I have the medical bar, which like really dries out your stuff. So man, I have the wipes with me. So if I get done at a school and I think somebody had it, I'll use the wipes. Like, even if I don't think they had it, I'll use the wipes. So that's really what I do, man. And just try to stay clean. And then, you know, obviously, like, thankfully, Coach Jeremy at our school and then Zach at his school, like, they keep it really clean. Yeah. You know, and some people are going to get it no matter what, but, like, that's then their job to make sure they don't come to class for a while. And like,
yeah, that's an issue that I see at ours with the gi.
Yeah.
Because, you know.
I think you see it more at gi schools,
too. Yeah, because a lot of people only have one gi. They, even though.
And it's hard to get them bitches clean.
Dude, like, and my coach preaches it all the time. It's like, wash that motherfucker every time you come here. And you still have guys.
And dudes are like, oh, I didn't roll after. It didn't get very sweaty. Yeah. I don't give a fuck, dude. Bro.
That thing's like a sponge, man. It's nasty. Fucking wash that shit. Yeah, and I've heard the same thing. It's hard to wash. Like, and I didn't know this either because I was actually bad at this at the beginning. I would throw it in there because it'd be 9 o'clock at night in my waste basket or in my laundry basket. And then I'd wash it in the morning. Yeah, well, I didn't know that shit's hard to get out once it dries. Yeah. You know,
you might as well just throw it right in the washer when you get home.
Yeah, and that's what I do now.
Yeah,
and now, you know, but for a couple of months I didn't know that. I never had a gi before.
That weird like dingy smell going on.
Yeah, well, that's what I heard too. It starts getting to where it'll dry in there, and then when you start getting hot and everything's warming up, and it starts to come out.
Now you feel like you smell like booty hole.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. And some of the guys, man, it's like fuck. And don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's times where maybe I've, you know, when you're sweating and shit and working, you know, you probably may smell a little bit. You know what I mean? But get as clean as you can, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I'm not. The thing too is when ringworm and staph and stuff like that, man, that comes from dudes not being clean when they come into practice. Yeah. Like, I train 2 to 3 times a day.
Yeah.
I take a lot of showers.
Yeah.
Like at the gym, I
take probably 2 a day.
We have a shower there. So like if I go somewhere and they don't have, or I actually get done training at one gym and they don't have a shower, or I don't have time to wait for the shower, I go back to my gym. My client's warming up. I'm taking a really quick shower. Then I clean. Then I got to work out. I work out. I take a quick shower after that. And then like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm just trying to stay clean so I don't feel dirty. You know what I mean? Because that shit fucks you up. Like, staff's nasty, bro.
Yeah, because like when I roll with guys, I don't mind rolling with guys that are all sweaty. I sweat a fuck ton. That doesn't bother me at all. But when I start to dry off and shit and cool down, I just feel like, God, I got to get this shit off me, dude. Like, I don't want to touch. I don't even come home and touch nobody. I go straight to the shower. You know?
If I come in to the open mat a little late, like maybe 10 minutes, and it's like middle of summer, so the dudes are already like sweating, I'm like, God, I don't want to touch none of y'all.
Really?
Like if they're super wet and sweaty and I'm dry and I just got in there a little bit late, I'm like, because I'm going to be wet when we're done, but it's not probably going to be my sweat. Like if I'm already wet, I don't care.
Yeah.
But it's starting out because your sweat is going to be cold on me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like that's what gets gross. So I'll be like, God. So then you just got to like, and then you touch them and you lock up and you're just like, God damn it. Like son of a bitch, man, you're gross. But
you're in guard and some guys just sweating profusely in your face.
The worst is when I hate being the dude on top in that moment. I'd rather be the dude on top. But dude on top or on bottom, and like it's summer, you're sweating. It's like 95, 100 degrees outside. You've been sweating, you're just sweating buckets, and like you go to move, and just that sweat comes off your chin, just right down onto their face, and you're just like, to be the dude on bottom sucks because you know it's not your sweat, but you also feel bad as the dude on top. Like you I always laugh a little bit too, but like you're like, I tried, man, and that just went.
One thing you definitely learn is keep your mouth closed. Bro, I had to learn that shit, bro.
That's the worst. The worst is the dude is like when you're sweating in the summer and like you're choking a dude and like his mouth gets stuck on your rash guard and he like tries to breathe in and just sucks in sweat like a Hoover
mother's milk right there.
And you just took all your sweat in. Like, I feel bad for dudes like that. I'm like, that's nasty because that's salty for sure.
Dude, my buddy Luke, you've met him before.
Luke, dude. Yeah, man, he sewed up my face one time when Josh Denny kneed me in the face and cut me open.
Well, I just want to say this. Fuck you, Luke. I hope you're watching this. He mother's milks me all the fucking time, dude.
He's a nice guy. Dude. Luke, I love you if you're watching this.
Nah, he knows I love him. Me and that dude, we send probably 15 reels a day to each other. Just fucking he's some crazy shit. But nah, he's a great dude. But he fucking mother's milks me all the time. He does it on purpose. Every time he sees me,
that is some jacket.
He'll send me a bottle, an emoji bottle.
Bro, that's
Instagram.
Cold.
I know. I'm like, you asshole. He's like, well, what are you going to do about it? I'm like, you're right. Nothing.
For y'all watching this who don't know what mother's milk is, basically, it's how it sounds like. It can be any part of your body, but it's just like you stick their mouth and their whole face up against any part of your body and they can't breathe. So it's like they're trying to get milked.
I'm getting good at getting out of it, though.
Yeah.
My defense, how many times he's done it to my defense is getting better on it. So,
that's good.
And thank God he wears a rash guard under his gi.
Dude, the dudes who don't, I don't know how y'all roll with them because they nasty. Like, if you got some hamburger meat hair hanging out, that's what I hate. Like, I'll tell any of them.
Yeah, you're picking hairs out of your mouth.
I'll tell any of the MMA guys I go with at any place, if you don't wear a shirt, I'm pissed at you the second I have to go with you.
Really? It doesn't bother me. I don't know why.
Bro, no. Like, really? And it's not, like, if you're smooth, it's cool. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. Like, I shave my chest. I ain't knocking nobody who's hairy. But, like, if you're, like, choosing to be shirtless and sweaty and we're going to, like, do MMA grappling where I'm going to have to wrestle you and, like, you could have kept your shirt on and your shirt was wet, which is fine with me. But now my face is gonna be on your hamburger meat. I'm pissed. Like I'm legitimately angry with you as a person, and I'm gonna say something to you about it. Like I might try to make you feel bad. Yeah,
I don't wear it sometimes under my gi because there's some competitions where you can't wear it under.
Yeah, and I get that.
Sometimes I'll kind of get used to it, or sometimes I just won't have one. But
don't get me wrong,
I'm not a hairy guy. So.
I'm gonna tap a dude out. I'm not gonna care if you're hairy or not. I'm just gonna be more pissed, and I might hold on to the choke a little longer if you are hairy because you made me deal with that. Like that's
you'll ramp it up a little bit.
That's where we're gonna be at. Yeah.
Fuck.
You nasties.
Yeah. Dude, I remember seeing a roll with you had when you came that one time. That was probably the craziest roll I think I've seen, dude. You guys got pretty wild with that other. Is he a brown belt or
purple belt blonde kid?
No, he's a big dude. You went against him at Blue Corner.
Yeah. Blonde. Yeah.
Is he blonde?
He's blonde. Okay. I think.
Yeah, he's pretty like jacked.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, I mean he's cool.
What was that? Is that like a mutual, or was that kind of getting a little heated?
I think that was he was trying to see if I really beat him at Blue Corner. Oh,
okay.
Love the guy, super nice guy, I really can't think of his name right now. I wish I could.
Yeah. I forgot to see him there a lot of times.
But he's super nice, purple belt. I got my brown belt right after that, so I mean I think he's close to brown belt also. I'm pretty sure. I mean I tapped him with like a double outside ankle lock, which I really don't get anybody at my school with anymore. So I was surprised I got it at Blue Corner, honestly.
What gym is he from?
Warriors Academy.
Oh, okay.
I think he's KCBJJ and Warriors.
I got you.
Because he trains under Ethan Benda.
Which shout out you guys probably work a lot more leg stuff being no
yeah. But I mean, he went for the leg lock on me first. And then I was just like, okay. And then just kind of went for it. But because I didn't want to submit somebody's leg because I'm kind of like more or less, I think, known for doing leg lock stuff. Especially being from 10th Plant. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to tap him out with like a Darce or something a little bit, maybe like truck or like a buggy choke. Like I wanted to be a little flashy.
That's fucked up.
I buggy choke the shit out of people and they all get pissed about it. But it's fucking hilarious. Or like some Venus flytrap, just some real 10th Planet stuff. Like I wasn't trying to do a leg lock. And that's just what happened. So it's fine. But I've just won a lot of stuff with leg locks. So like it gets boring.
Yeah.
But no, like I went to that open mat you invited me and Josh and Trenton to, and he was there, and I was like, all right, we're gonna go at some point. I'm sure. Like it was just one of those things I knew. And so he came up and wanted to go, and I started on my butt just so he could try to pass guard. And I mean, I wasn't gonna let him pass my guard. I was like, even if I have to go 100%, like let's just see. Like maybe it was a fluke. I was like, it wasn't a fluke that I won at Blue Corner in like a minute and a half, but maybe it was. Like let's just see where it's at.
Yeah.
So we started to go, and we were doing. I think we started in the middle of a round, so we did like a round and a half, and he just tried to pass hard a couple times, which is fine. Like, but then I was like, all right, man, like we gonna get into it a little bit. It's like what went through my head, and then he kind of just like went a little harder, and then I went a little harder, and then I was like, fuck this, and so I stood up and I was like, I passed him, and bro, I landed straight on his chest like hard. Like I passed him and then sat down and like. I mean, we were good and we both laughed about it afterwards, but I definitely think there's a little like dick measuring contest going on.
Yeah, I was about to say, you fell on his head, dude.
Fell on his head. That was on, I mean, that was on purpose.
Yeah.
That was on purpose. I regret nothing about that.
Dude, me and Josh were just talking and all of a sudden I hear boom. I'm like, what the fuck? I look over at you guys. You guys are going at it like two bears, dude. I'm like,
I mean, I think there was honestly a mutual thing between both of us. Like we were trying to see what was up.
Yeah, I was asking my coach about that because I seen my coach watching you guys and he just kind of smiled like watching. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, man, sometimes that shit happens.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to go after it. So,
I was like, hell
and I mean, we had both just like literally gone like, I think the week and a half before that at Blue Corner. So like it was, I think he wanted to see if it was really about, because, you know, he was probably a little salty for losing, just like I would have been if I would have lost.
For sure.
And that was fine with me. Like I'm down. Like anybody wants to go, period.
Did you end up submitting him
that
day?
Yeah.
Okay.
I submitted him like 3 times, like a leg lock again, and then like a choke and then something else.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah. Like, like he knew when we were done, like it wasn't a fluke. Like I was just better.
Yeah.
And
no, that's cool, man. I like seeing that stuff, dude, because you don't really get to see that high intensity in the gym.
Yeah.
Much,
and that's the thing is like I play very, very relaxed in a sense, just because like, you know, Dana here talks about it sometimes. Like you kind of train like with dudes lower than you more often. Yeah. Because it allows you to try things out and it allows you to get better at things technically. Like if you train with dudes who are as good as you all the time, you don't get to work on stuff, right? Yeah. So then I like going to the open mats like that where I get dudes who are black belts and brown belts and I can roll with them and get more technical things, and, you know, like rolling with Jeremy Brick and Schroyer and a bunch of people there. And your coach, you know, he's a really good black belt, obviously, and a couple of the other purple belts that were there and some brown belts. And so I got to roll with them and it was really good. And he was a fun, intense roll. But bro, anybody wants to bring the smoke, I'm always down. Like I just like, I'm always going to be the guy who errs on the side of not going hard enough. Like, okay, we'll start. Like, oh, you owed me.
You kind of match their energy.
Like, I'll give you one. Mm-hmm. I'll give you one, maybe 2. Like, if you're visiting our gym and you're like, oh, I'm a brown belt. All right, cool. Like, we're both brown belts. Like, let's start with this mutual respect thing. Just depends on how hard you go. Like, I'm not gonna if I know you're a brown belt, I'm not necessarily gonna let you have anything. Yeah. But I'll like kind of start off slow and like we'll go nice and easy, and then if you turn it up and you elbow me in the face a little bit, like, all right, I'll give you 1. Like that was an accident probably. But if you start playing a game where you elbow me a lot, like, bro, I'm not gonna break you on purpose, but I'm gonna definitely make sure you know who the fuck king is before you leave. Yeah. Like I'm gonna put my teeth out a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, and so like I'm just gonna make sure you know when you leave there's a hierarchy. And there's different levels, you know, and but I'm always down for that. Like if some dude starts turning it up, you'll see this little like smile on my face, and like you see it's kind of my disposition and my energy changes, and I'm ready to put down anytime. Same with MMA. Some dude starts going a little harder, like okay, like you want to go a little bit harder, like I'll give you about 2, and then I'm gonna give you a big old receipt, just like in pro wrestling. Yeah. Like, oh, you gave me a couple, I'm gonna give you that real hard body shot. Is it hard to not get emotions mixed up? Because they say, you know, you start mixing emotion where you start getting mad. Yeah. You know, that's where you start fucking up. You know, is there where's that lie? I mean, you have to have some type of intensity from that emotion, right? That you get from that emotion. Whenever I'm training, it's never mad. It's more like you disrespect me. And so I'm gonna make sure you understand that there's a respect line. So you just up the intensity, basically. Yeah, it's not and I just take it to where you're at. Like if I and that's the thing too, is like if we're supposed to be at 20 or 30% to the head, and you hit me at 50, and there's no like, if you give me 1, like you don't have to say you're sorry. If you do, cool. Like I know you, at least you realized it. And most guys will. They'll be like, "Oh, sorry, man." Like in the middle of the round. All right, cool, whatever. But you give me 1 and you don't say anything, and then maybe in another minute or 2, give me another one at 50%. We're supposed to be at 20, 30. What I believe is 50% for you, I'm going to give you what I think is 50% for me. Yeah. And I'm going to make sure mine's a little bit more clean and a little bit more like a little pop to it. Like it's going to be 50%, but it's going to be a nice 50%, and it's going to be that body usually. Yeah. Like I'm not going to hit you in the head like that, but I'm going to give it to your body. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Right? Or I'll give you a little bit harder leg kick, give you a little bit of a stinger in the leg and be like, hey bro, like, dude, those leg kicks are no joke, like, man. You need to, and that's usually most guys will be like, all right, like that was for that one, like let's back it off a little bit. If guys then turn it up more, then I know it's about to be a real fight. Yeah. Like and anybody at my gym, they don't do that. Like or the gym at 10th Planet, all of us are real good about keeping it. I mean, some of us, like especially when we get close to fight, it starts to get turned up a little bit, but that's natural.
Yeah.
And it's never, you know, like malicious or anything like that. But sometimes, like when I've been sparring at other gyms and things like that, sometimes, and it'll be little dudes. It's always these 125, 135 pound dudes who want to fucking
prove.
Show.
Yeah.
Yeah, just want to talk shit. And so, and then you got to put them down like a dog.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to like let the dog out, and like I'm putting the dog under. Like,
yeah, I mean, weight.
Like I'm gonna choke the life out of that dog.
I feel like a weight's not a factor.
Nah, bro.
In someone who's not trained. Yeah. So 125 pound, someone who trains, and then a 200 pound guy who doesn't train, you're probably not, you know, that 200 pound guy, it doesn't matter how much weight you got, it's probably not going to do much. But once you start getting in the gym and you both are training, that weight's a big difference.
Like, skill beats strength most of the time. Most of the time. Now, jiu-jitsu, if you're on the ground with somebody in a street fight and he's 250 and you're 125 pounds, like you'll probably eventually get him, but like he's going to be able to hold you in some positions. Like it's just going to be what it is. It's going to be harder for you to fuck him up.
The good thing is that most people's cardio's shit.
But he's going to peter out.
Yeah.
But if you're both 125 pounds, then it's whose skill is better, right?
For sure.
But if you're 125 pounds and your skill's up here, but you got a dude who's 200 pounds and his skill is maybe he's a white belt and you're a purple belt.
Yeah.
That white belt is still going to take a lot to tap because he's now has some skill and he outweighs you by 75 pounds.
Yeah.
And then if you're both purple belts and one's 125 and one's 200, that 200 dude's going to own your ass.
Yeah.
Most likely.
Yeah. I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything because, you know, I'm still, you know, I have a ton to learn, but I've noticed that difference. You know, I'm 215. I float between 210 and 215. And I've noticed that when I've rolled with some small blue belts, you know, it's a big difference, man.
They just don't have the strength to put brakes on as they should.
And maybe if they would have caught me at 1 month, but you know, I'm almost a year in, and then you know the small amount of bit I retained from Tin Planet because you know I had such a long layoff. I think it was like 4 or 5 years, but you know, it's just different, you know.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is you're just gonna that's how things work out. Yeah, you know, you get 2 brown belts. You know, we have Kalen Hester is his name. He's like 100 and maybe 50, 60 pounds. And then I'm 215, usually 210. And brown belts, like he can be a better brown belt per se in the sense of like how slick his game is. But he might not be able to ever tap me because I can just withhold. Yeah. And, you know, and that can be part of technique. I mean, look at Gordon Ryan. Like he had to put on weight to.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You know,
and like.
Look at Nicky Rod. Look at all these big Galvan and all them. They're all fucking huge, man.
And like, I mean, like. Let's just say some weird crazy thing. You put like Marcelo in his prime versus like Nicky Rod in his prime right now. Like that's a hard matchup for Marcelo even in his prime. Marcelo is the man. Like don't get me wrong,
he's what 145.
Bro. Against Nicky Rod, like that's gonna be a hard matchup for anybody because Nicky Rod's a fucking animal. Yeah. Like you know what I mean. Same with Gordon Ryan. Like you put Gordon Ryan against like let's say right now Mikey Musumeci is super hot, right? Mm-hmm. You put him against Gordon Ryan, like. Gordon Ryan's going to play with him like a cat, not just because he's Gordon Ryan, he's the best in the world, but because he's huge. Yeah. He outweighs him by like at least close to 100 pounds.
Yeah, what's he like, 220?
220, 230, you know?
Yeah.
And Mikey Musumeci's like 140, 150, maybe 160, but still 70, 80 pounds, like, and it's a black belt 80 pounds, like not like, oh, Mikey Musumeci black belt and Gordon Ryan.
There's weight divisions for a reason.
Yeah, bro. So that's just how it is, but.
Yeah. I remember Luke had told me he went down to Puerto Rico when they were down there, when they had their camp down there, Gordon Ryan. And he said he rolled with them. He said he was just insane. And it's not even like, he said he would be in places that he's like, where the fuck is he? And like he would be in places that he didn't think like he would be, you know, and it was weird. He says he didn't use like crazy amount of strength or anything. It was all just basic technique, you know, and it's
conceptually he couldn't understand like how is he being in these places and getting there, right? Mm-hmm. But to Gordon, it's just getting to normal spots.
Yeah, and he said I think he rolled with him and Nicky Ryan as well, and but yeah, man, he said it was crazy the level that he's on, and Luke's no joke, man. It's funny because you see him.
Yeah, Luke's solid. I mean, I rolled with Luke.
Yeah, you look at him and you're like, oh, you see him in his lab coat.
I rolled with Luke a couple months ago. Luke's super solid.
Yeah, we had
he's a black belt. He's super solid.
Yeah, and he had a buddy or a guy that we know. He just started jiu-jitsu, and it was funny. We were talking the other day when Luke wasn't there, and I was like, yeah, Luke's an animal. He goes, yeah, man. He's like, looking at him, you wouldn't have thought, right? And he's like, no, bro. He's like,
Again,
I didn't understand. Because he watched Luke. Luke submitted to me like 6 times one night, dude. And I was like, I told him, I was like, see, you're not the only one, dude. Like, he's a bad motherfucker.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's crazy. You know, it's funny you were talking about John Danaher, because I listen to a lot of his shit too, and you were talking about rolling with white belts, so that way you can actually practice better technique.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what, you know, one of my coaches, John, tells me all the time. He's like, you want to like separate your rolls, like have like 3, what is it, like 3 like not easy rolls, but just kind of like rolls in your favor.
Yeah.
And then you want to have like a couple of hard rolls. Like you want to like vary it up. That way you can kind of get a well-rounded, you know, session.
Just get a good look at your game.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. Because, and I agree, because dude, sometimes I'm just like, I roll with so many, like I like to roll with higher up belts.
Yeah.
I feel like
Everybody
it pushes
does.
me to get better.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
Does.
But after a while, it's like, I mean, I remember like for a couple of weeks, I was just going with upper belts every time. And I was feeling like kind of down. I'm like, man, what the fuck? Like, I'm just getting beat up. You know what I mean? And, you know, it's not like I was getting beat up bad. I mean, there's some I was, some I wasn't. I felt good. Yeah. But then I was like, well, let me go against some white belt. I go, oh, okay. You know, I'm doing all right. You know, so I see why you kind of need that split. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the thing is like, you know, Dan here, I like, not the biggest fan of Dan here. I think he's full of a lot of shit. But we're honest here. Like he can, but jiu-jitsu like, wise, well, explanation wise, she says he has a lot of knowledge in jiu-jitsu. I think there's other dudes who aren't Danny who have the same amount of knowledge. They just don't, when they explain it, they don't try to sound smart. Mm-hmm. Like he tries to sound like he's Confucius. Yeah. I don't care for that per se. Like, I want the meat and potatoes of what you're saying. And I want like,
take 10 minutes to explain something you could have done
his
in 2 minutes.
DVDs are like 15 hours and they could be 3. Yeah. Right. Like, just personal opinion. Yeah. But still an amazing coach. So props to him. Still an amazing jiu-jitsu guy. So like taking nothing away from that whatsoever. Yeah. Just not my cup of tea when it comes to like people, which has never met him, right? I've never met him, so it doesn't really matter either.
Hey, man, you can still have an opinion.
Exactly.
I feel like that's being taken away from us a lot, you know?
Exactly. But the way I look at it is like Michael Fowler, one of the best, you know, I would say one of the best seminar teachers I've ever been with and had a seminar. He's been to 10th Planet a couple times. Had one of the craziest runs in ADCC, you know, back in the day. And he was like, got his black belt in like 3.5, 4 years, like crazy amount. That was like his big thing. Awesome dude. Great jiu-jitsu. Teaches great principles. Just awesome dude all the way around.
You said 3 to 4 years?
3 to 4 years, got his black belt.
Is that because he had previous grappling experience?
Well, he wrestled a little bit, but just because he trained so hard. It was like the big thing. Like that was like when it was super unpopular to do that. And this is like years and years and years ago. Like he went against Marcelo in Marcelo's heyday in ADCC and was beating him to the last 3 seconds. And Marcelo caught him in that Marcelo sweep with the fucking Marcelo team. Yeah, barely caught him, but like almost beat Marcelo. At that time would have been, because that's when Marcelo was like the king of the cock of the walk. Mm-hmm. So it would have been huge. But he went against like Megaton and like all these dudes and like in ADCC and beat him. Like he's a killer. Michael Fowler, awesome dude. And lives in Hawaii, so he gets to chill with all the awesome weather. But he talks about it and he's like, when you learn something new, like you don't go, like you're a black belt, you don't go and try your new shit on a black belt. Like you start on a white belt. Right. And you like maybe on the brand new white belts, right? Like you drill it, you try it, and then you move it up to the blue belt, like, and then once you're in the blue belts, you kind of know, like, okay, there's that blue belt who's almost a purple belt, so I'm going to catch him with it. Yeah. If you can start catching him with it easy, then you move up to the purple belts, and then, you know, you find that one purple belt is like, all right, that's the best purple belt. I'm going to try it on him. Make sure I roll with him a couple times, get it perfect on him, and then you'll kind of start seeing it, and you work it up. And then, you know, once you hit on the purple belt, then you're like, okay, now the difference between hitting on a purple belt and hitting on a brown or black belt is just really the setup of it and how slick you can get with it. So now you're just trying to be slick with it. Yeah. Really. And that's what it is. So you need those rolls. Even as a white belt, it's hard because you're at the bottom of at the totem pole. Mm-hmm. You're the lowest man on the totem pole. But you still have to have those in that hierarchy of white belt. Like, okay, now I'm going with like the newest guys because I really can perfect my stuff. But then you need to go with upper belts because you need to be battle tested on how resilient you are and how how much you can see stuff coming. Because white belt's just about surviving and really getting better at surviving and avoiding people's stuff.
Yeah.
I got white belts at our school.
Yeah.
That at 10th Planet that can avoid some of my best submissions because I've hit them with it so many times, and they can feel the setup coming.
Right.
But then I'll go to
and it's also
school.
probably a different role too. It's and I know a lot of people make fun of the white belts on the whole spazziness and stuff like that, but sometimes that could be a motherfucker, man. You know,
get a white belt who's kind of spazzy, who just kind of like does unconventional
or if
shit.
he's kind of fit, strong, you know what I mean?
And he just does unconventional things
too.
Yeah, like same
Kinda
with
throws
MMA. You got a dude who like fights kind of unconventionally, like he might catch you.
I always mess with my coaches all the time. I'm like, I'm about to release an instructional. It's called a white belt, getting you ready for the streets.
Facts. Hey man, sometimes it'd be like that.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's funny because when you say that too, I've seen that as well. Like, depending on the level of white belt, like, I'm only a 1 stripe at the moment, and going with some of the guys that are just new white belts, I'm able to work on positioning, working on keeping less distance, stuff like that, staying in tight, and then trying. But you're right, it's a totally different thing doing that on a newer white belt than trying to do that on a blue belt or a purple belt, because they already see it coming. They know how to get out of it, or they know how to counter it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I see what you mean. You're kind of working your way up, working, kind of like tweaking the details, and then, going up
the
from
deeper
there.
you get in belts, it almost turns out to be like, how far into a submission can you get before you can get out and still get out? So like at a white belt, like you can't get in any submission and get out usually. You're just like, once you're in it, you're like, I'm in this position, how do I get out? Right. You got to figure it out. Blue belt, you're like, I see that. I see that submission maybe coming, or you don't see it coming, but you're like, I got in, like he got his hands together, but I can still get out of this guillotine, right? Because I felt it before. Or this leg lock or whatever it is. I can get out of this straight ankle lock. And then purple belt, you're like, I see it coming, I'm going to avoid it. Brown belt, you're like, no, I'm not even going to move over there because you're setting it up. And then you get to black belt and you're like,
they're 3 moves ahead.
And then now you're at black belt and you're like, so I'm going to go here, and you're going to think I'm setting up this, but I'm going to go do this instead. Right. At least that's what I'm guessing black belt's like. Obviously, I'm not there.
Yeah. You're almost.
Man, I've been brown belt for like not even a year, bro.
Shit, man.
So,
you only got 1 belt left. Belt left to go. That's
I know, but I'm enjoying brown belt. So, but at brown belt, it's like, okay, I'm going to go to this move. Yeah. For me, at least, I'm going to go to this move. And the 3 things that you're going to do to avoid it, like each one of those, I have a move set up for you. So it's about creating a dilemma. Like how many, like you're only going to have like maybe 1 or 2 options when I go to this move, and each one is a worse option. And then once we get to that option, I have another dilemma of like, he only has these 2. Right. And that's how I look at it. So I'm trying to give you a critical thinking situation every time, and each one just leads you to a worse position. That's at least what I'm trying to do at brown belt.
I remember,
which I think that's how you get to black belt. Yeah. Is you are able to put people in dilemmas where like they're put themselves further and further in the hole on your game.
Jeremy said on one of his podcasts, same guy that interviewed you. What's his podcast called? Meeting with Strain?
What's
his podcast called?
I think it's.
I feel bad because I do want to kind of shout him out so that way my 6 followers can go watch his shit.
Hey, no, his stuff's really cool. Yeah. It's like Talking with Strangers and Meeting with Strangers. I was on it, man.
Yeah, it was like a year.
But it's like the Wild Hicksons or something like that is their Instagram, and they're pretty cool. He's an awesome dude. Yeah, what was that? Him and his wife are both
Strangers Worth Meeting.
Yeah, Strangers.
Yeah, that's actually pretty. I've actually watched quite a bit of his. I know he's not from here, but he's interviewed quite a bit of people here in Kansas City. But Jeremy's podcast, he had 2 of them, and they're really interesting the way he explained just kind of the history of behind his gym and Kansas City in general. Or St. Joe, where they're out of. But he said that when he hit brown belt, he actually worked, I think he said brown belt, strictly on positioning or like a posturing, posture and stuff like that. Like he really dialed it. Like he wasn't even worried about submitting people. Like
he just wanted the best posture.
Yeah.
He almost wanted to be unsubmittable per se. To a degree,
which is actually kind of brings you back to white belt, right? Because that's kind of what the whole Danaher thing is. It's like put yourself in bad positions and try not to get submitted. You know?
I love to let white belts put me in bad submissions. I'm like, get your arm flare on my throat and see if you can choke me out. Yeah, like what do I care if you choke me out? Yeah, you think like if I was dating some girl, like she like would care that night that I got choked? No, bro, she didn't care.
Yeah, I know. I've had some guys
like getting choked out doesn't bother me. Like
Yeah.
Now, if you choke me out and you talk shit after, like,
well, that's the thing.
That becomes a bad choice for you because now, one, I'm never gonna let you get me in a submission ever again, and I did let you get me in a submission.
Yeah.
And two, I'm gonna make sure every time you roll with me, you're gonna get
be a little
submitted
hard.
at least 10 times.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna 2 times for every minute we roll. For the rest of your life, till the day you quit jujitsu, because you'll probably quit.
To instill that humbleness,
not because I'm gonna make you quit. It's just most people quit jujitsu.
Yeah, and
stay out. Like,
well, that's the thing is that, and you'll probably never hear about it, but amongst white belts, we all kind of stick together and talk.
Yeah, bro.
So I hear shit. You know what I mean? It'd be like, I tapped so and so, and I've always kind of had to remind some guys like, do know if he didn't want you to do that, he wouldn't.
Me and Eric used to talk, and I'd be like, "We're both white belts." I was like, "Bro, I tapped Jake."
Yeah.
And Jake was a purple belt. He's almost purple. Or no, he was purple. He's like, "Oh yeah, man, that's awesome. That's great." Bro, Jake let me tap him. He let me have that shit. Like, he didn't.
And I know there probably are some small, like, depending on, like, if you've been a white belt for like a year, you may have gotten something on somebody where he didn't think, he let his guard down. Yeah, he let his guard down.
You're a white belt.
Yeah, exactly. And, but, in the end, if he wanted to ramp it up from the beginning, you probably would have never got there.
Bro, if this was a tournament, you would have been broken 6 times before you ever got there.
Yeah.
Like
that's kind of how I
look at it. Like,
that's kind of how I approach it, because I've submitted some brown belts and black belts and stuff like that. But I know in my mind it's like, yeah, but if they wanted to, I would have never have gotten there, from the. But
that's a good way to look at it. But like, they're letting you work and they're letting you progress, and that's what their job
and
is.
Feel as well.
Your job as a brown belt and a black belt too is to let people progress, because like, you've been there.
Yeah.
Like, you're almost at the beginning again, technically, at black belt when you start over, technically.
I think that's the thing that keeps me going too, dude, especially when it kind of gets, like, right now, everything's so great, you know what I mean? But I know at some point during the grind, 2-3 years down the road, it's going to get kind of complacent, and it's like,
yeah, it definitely gets there.
Fuck, and no matter how, jiu-jitsu's awesome because I feel like it's never ending learning. Yeah. And it's like fucking human chess, but it's definitely at some points, I'm sure it's going to get, especially if you go a lot, it's going to be like, oh fuck, it's kind of getting complacent a little bit. But yeah, it's like you kind of get to the point to where you're like, oh fuck, like I don't know, how do I explain that? I'm trying to explain this in a way. It's like I don't know. You can get out of it, but it's kind of. I don't know. It doesn't happen often. I don't know. I'm kind of losing my fucking track here, dude. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Been there. It happens. That's the white belt brain. That's the spaz brain.
No, dude, you ain't lying. Where the fuck was I going with that?
I don't know.
It happens sometimes, bro.
I knew. But no, I've gotten complacent over the years. I had times. There's little moments. It happens with anything.
Yeah.
And so
it's not often though. No, you know what I mean? Like right now, it's everything's so
you can
new.
Get better at everything.
Yeah.
Because you can get better at everything.
But I mean, there's so many things to learn. It's kind of hard to, but I do know at some point it probably will come, and that's probably when people start falling off, right?
Yeah, it's usually that's just when you lose a little interest in it. But
what do they call it? The blue belt blues. Yeah.
That's usually because it's something you finally earned what you were like the next thing, and then you feel like. Not a lot. And
then you become a target.
Less than 50% make the blue belt, man.
Yeah, because right now as a white,
then you get to brown belt and everybody avoids you and doesn't want to roll with you, and they're all a bunch of assholes.
Yeah, because
talking to everybody at class, you sons of bitches.
I feel like with the blue belt, that's when kind of you start becoming a target. Now people start ramping up a little bit.
Yeah, the white belts are trying to kill you.
Yeah,
because they think if they beat you, they
white belts and the upper belts are like, oh no, I'm not going to take it easy on you now. I'm going to kind of. Turn it
when
up
you're a blue
bit.
belt, the white belts who are almost blue belts or who have been there a little bit or who are right behind you, maybe a year behind you, they think that if they beat you, because I thought this way, if they beat you, then they'll deserve a blue belt.
Yeah.
That's not how it fucking works.
No, yeah. Yeah, well, actually, no, I remembered where I was going with that. It's kind of cool to see, it kind of makes me feel... It's not that, like I said, right now, everything's kind of new, so it's keeping me engaged and blah, blah. I know it'll get to the point of that. But knowing that, like, you and other guys that have made it up to the level that you have were in my shoes at one point, it kind of gives you that motivation of, okay, let's keep grinding, because they were getting fucked up at this time too. And
Oh,
look at them
100%.
now. You know what I mean?
Still.
And that's the cool beauty about jiu-jitsu, dude, because, you walk into these gyms and you see these guys that are black belts, brown belts, purple belts, and you're like, damn, you want to think that these guys have always been bad motherfuckers, but no, they were in your spot at
too,
your point, and it kind of gives you that boost of confidence. It's like,
as it should.
Yeah.
We were all white belts at one point, man.
Yeah, that's crazy. And dude, also I want to talk to you too about your fighting career right now. What are your plans right now? Have you thought of anything after this last fight?
So, I mean, obviously the goal was, before this last fight, I was 1-2. So the goal was to just make smart choices taking fights, and this was a smart choice for a fight. It was a super winnable fight.
Yeah.
So the goal is to be 2-2 after this one, and then to put together like a 4 or 5 fight win streak and get up to like 7-2, 6-2, 7-2.
Because you're right now, what are you at?
1-3.
1-3.
Yeah. So
pro, right?
Yeah, pro. Yeah. So I was 9-5 in amateur. I was ranked number 1 in the amateur circuit for years. Towards the end, I wasn't, because I took all the hard fights I could get. So I got knocked down a little bit because of some losses at the end of my amateur career, but that's what you're supposed to do. So, but or at least you're supposed to take the hardest fights you can then, to get you ready for pro. And so that's what I did. But I was, in the beginning of my career, ranked number 1 at my weight class, heavyweight, light heavyweight, and then 185 when I fought there at amateur 2. I was ranked number 1 in the state, number 1 in the Midwest, and then like top 10 or top 20 in the country, I think, something like that. But so the goal right now is still the same, man. Is to put together like a 4 or 5, 6 fight win streak. So I mean, right back to it, really focused on just getting the right fights put together, get on the right promotions, still fight for Synergy probably. I mean, they're a great promotion, so I'm gladly fight for them. And just get the right fights lined up to put on a 4 or 5 fight win streak. And then that'll get me to a point. So in the next year and a half, hopefully I can get a fight every 2 to 3 months and be able to put together like 4 or 5 fights and just put those together to get me up to like 5-3, 6-3, and then get either a shot. I like the UFC. I would be totally cool fighting for the UFC, but I really want to fight for one championship. Yeah. Or PFL.
I just watched the Haggerty fight.
Yeah, Haggerty's a bad motherfucker. Yeah, but one championship, I just like I could do jiu-jitsu with them. I could do MMA. I could do a Muay Thai fight if I wanted to.
Dude, that's one thing I don't understand, how one hasn't caught on in the United States. I was actually talking to a guy about this not too long ago, and it's like, I thought their setup is kind of dope. I don't know much about one. Yeah. I just watched
Rich Franklin is the U.S. vice president for them. So they have a U.S. chapter, which is because they've done like one fight here in Colorado about 6 months ago, I think. Yeah. And he's like, Rich Franklin's like the U.S. vice president for him, the U.S. ambassador side for him. But yeah, man, I mean, they're picking up speed. They're one of the most, I think they're the most watched like globally.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty neat how
they're higher watched in Asian and European countries than the UFC is.
To have that, going from jiu-jitsu to a Muay Thai to a kickboxing to an MMA
all in
fight,
the cage.
That's fucking dope, man.
Yeah, and it's super exciting. Like all their fights, they push the pace. They give out way more fight bonuses.
Do they do it in a cage sometimes? Because they were in a ring.
Yep, they'll do it. They'll do cage usually. They'll do it in a ring too. They'll do MMA fights in a ring.
That's where the Haggerty.
Yeah, was in a because that was a kickboxing fight, so they did it in a ring more or less.
But all of them were in a ring.
Yeah, so they'll do them all in the ring, but sometimes they'll do them all in a cage. Like they'll do Muay Thai fights in a cage, jiu-jitsu matches in a cage, jiu-jitsu matches in the ring.
Okay.
So they'll do it all. It just depends. I think they just decide what they're gonna do, and so you might be fighting in a cage 1 month, and then a couple months later you're fighting in a ring.
Is there MMA a benefit to a cage or a ring?
Ring, I mean, just the ropes. Like there's not a lot of wall work. Like it's going to be way more stand up. Right. There's not going to be as much jujitsu for sure. It's going to be more like a boxing match or a Muay Thai match in a ring because you're not going to have that wall to pressure people and take them down. In the cage, like you're going to obviously have a normal MMA fight. But the ropes, people can bounce off them and things like that. And then you can't get the same pressure against the ropes as you can against the cage wall.
Right.
But, so like I just like their payment style. I think it's a little better. This bonuses. Is how I look at it. Yeah. Like you want to be famous, fight for the UFC.
For sure.
Because that's where you're going to get your fame. When you think of a world champion, like I'm a world champion, you think, oh, you're a UFC champion.
Yeah.
Right. One championship, like, yeah, you can be a champion there, but like you say, I'm a world champion. They're like, you're not the UFC. Oh, well, I fight for one. Well, that's not the same, is what people I would say. To me, it's the same. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But fame, UFC.
Yeah.
Money, one championship or PFL. Because PFL, you have a chance to win $1 million every year.
Right.
Like the competition is lower, and if you get into the Grand Prix at the end of the year, the little 4 fights they have, the finals, the semifinals, then the finals, like you got paid all year for the fights you had. You had 2 fights during the season. Mm-hmm. Then you have the end of the year tournament, which is the top 4 guys from that weight class. And then the top guy wins $1 million. So you maybe made 1.2, 1.3 million that year. And now you're the champ. And next year you can do, if you're still the best guy next year, you're going to win $1 million again.
Yeah.
Like Kayla Harris, she won like 4 years, 5 years in a row. And people kept asking her, when are you going to go to the UFC? When are you going to go to the UFC? And she's like, why would I? She's like, I've made more money in 5 years. I've made $1 million every year for 5 years. And you can have sponsorships on your shorts. So you're making money off those. She's like, I can do that. I've made more money than some UFC champions.
Yeah.
Like some UFC champions make $500,000, $100,000.
The guys in the prelims, what are they bringing home? 10 grand, 20 grand?
10 grand to show, 10 grand to win, like 20 grand. And that's before you pay your coaches, and then your manager gets 20%. Yeah. So they're maybe taking 8 grand home. Yeah. Like that's, eight grand, like that's not much.
You're definitely doing it out of love at that point for the sport.
Yeah, bro.
Fuck,
I mean,
man.
shit. Like even local
and
shows.
the hopes to be able to make, the payday of what, you know,
I mean,
some of
you're
the main
hoping,
cards.
and that's the thing is in the UFC, like you got to be in the top 10 to make real money, top 15.
Yeah.
But in ONE or PFL, like you're fighting less. I mean, not that PFL doesn't, or ONE has really good fighters too, but they just pay their guys better. They have better, and you're going to get more sponsorships because Asia loves white people. Like Asia loves Americans.
Yeah.
So like if you're an American and you go to Asia and you fight over there for one championship, you're getting a bunch of like Asian sponsors and European sponsors that are paying you way more.
Do you think that ONE hasn't caught on because it's a lot of smaller guys that fight in ONE, and it just doesn't catch?
I think the UFC just has a grip, a chokehold on the MMA community. Gotcha. Honestly, because everybody, if ONE would have started when UFC did, everybody wanted to fight for ONE.
Right. Kind of how what was the other one that was up there with the UFC?
Bellator.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Bellator is being bought out, I think, by PFL. So.
Oh, are they? Well, they're not even around anymore, right?
PFL?
No, Bellator.
No, they're around. Yeah, they still throw fights.
Oh, okay. I thought the UFC had made some negotiation with them.
They were trying a long time ago. Okay. But they never did. But yeah, Bellator's still around. But yeah, Bellator just didn't get as big because they didn't have the marketing.
Right.
So,
right.
But I mean, so I think just ONE hasn't caught on just because UFC has a grip on everybody, and every fighter wants to fight for the UFC because they want to take a shot at it. They want to say they're a UFC fighter. Yeah,
I've seen that guy. What's that Asian guy's name? I don't know if he's the president of ONE or not, but he was saying how they were better than the UFC because the majority of their fighters, they have like 300 like fights, and
because they've been fighting Muay Thai since they're like 6.
Yeah.
Like an amateur Muay Thai fighter has like 200 fights. Bro.
I wonder why Muay Thai hasn't caught on more here in America. Everybody gets upset when it goes to the ground.
It's
but
so fucking exciting.
Muay Thai is just straight kicking and punching, bro.
Well, that's why ONE's so cool, is because when they have some Muay Thai fights in ONE, they'll wear MMA gloves instead of boxing gloves, so they have their hands and stuff. And that shit's just crazy. Like, Ratang, which is like one of the best Muay Thai fighters, like in Haggerty, like when they wear the MMA gloves and they do like Muay Thai, like that shit's dangerous. Yeah, that shit it's so good. It's the most exciting.
The fucking elbows. Oh, dude, those dudes get cut up, man. Yeah,
so I think so for me the goal is just like to ONE championship or PFL. ONE, the UFC was the goal in the beginning, and it's eventually the goal. Like eventually, like fight for ONE or PFL, and then switch to the UFC later on, just to say I was in there. Mm-hmm. But I'm in it to make money. Like I want to make some wealth. And be able to make some choices and run my own 10th planet. Mm-hmm. Eventually, one day, in KC.
Do you guys plan to expand here in KC?
I plan to open a school at some point. I mean, obviously, I'm focused on fighting right now, so that's kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
And I think my goal is with fighting to be able to have more capital to open a school. Either way, I'll open a school, but with fighting, getting up into a bigger promotion, you have that notoriety because you're a high level fighter already. So that helps bring in people. But
I hope you guys do, because
my goal would be to open a 10th planet, kind of like I think on the Kansas side, because I'll be like, as long as that happens, I'll be the first. Like, there's no 10th planets in Kansas, so I'd be the first one in the state, which is a big deal too. Yeah. So, and I'd probably go like, you know, probably one of the hoitier parts of Kansas, you know, Shawnee OP or something like that. And then have my own school and things like that.
That'd be dope, man. Yeah, because a lot of people don't. A lot of people.
But you got to be a black belt to have your own school anyway, so I got to wait till that happens either way. So but it would still be some partnership with Coach Jeremy. Like we've, you know, kind of here and there sparsely talked about it before. Never anything serious. But
I remember I used to talk to Jeremy about the location, about, you know, where they're at, you know, and I know they like that location a lot. But I've worn my rash guard, you know, to class before, you know, on no-gi days, or even underneath my gi. And people be like, "Where's a 10th planet around here?" You know, so a lot of times they don't
it's like
know.
A little hidden gem.
Yeah, and they'd be like, "There's one in Kansas City." I'm like, "Yeah, it's up in Platte City," and but I know if they would have opened one up down here in the Northland or downtown, even, man,
booming.
Dude, booming
city,
especially with all the, you know, like you said, marketing's a motherfucker, and with Joe Rogan and everybody else talking around about you guys, you know, it's, you know, people are bound to run there and sign up, but yeah, man, that's crazy. And then you're business wise too. What's your business called?
So, Stay Ready Performance and Recovery is my business. And so personal training. And then obviously, cause I've transformed myself, and it allows me to train full time for MMA. And then, also stretch therapy. So it's, called Frederick Stretch Therapy or Fascial Stretch Therapy.
Fascial. That's what it was. I was looking up some things on that.
So I've been doing that for 2 years in February.
Is that something new that's been going around? Cause I've never seen it personally.
It's newer in the Midwest. It's really big in California, really big in Arizona, which is where I go for the training. Which is where the head lady who developed it is, who owns the rights to the name. Anne Frederick is her name. And then really big in like New York, Texas, things like that. It's finally getting to the Midwest. Like I'm one of 3 people who's certified in it in Missouri. So it's just getting bigger here, but like Stretch Zone, those kind of places, they're opening up more, and they're kind of just like basic stretching. Mine's more advanced, a little bit higher end. It's catered to you as a person. It's very luxury versus that.
And what's the difference between that and actual chiropractic work? Like,
so I'm not trying to pop you. I'm not trying to adjust you. I'm not a doctor.
Gotcha.
I'm a therapy practitioner. I'm not even like a massage therapist, right? So you're going to keep your clothes on just like normal, hour-long session. And we're just going to try to increase your, like, we're not even going to try to do anything. What we're doing is we're seeing where your body's at, and we're going to do a little assessment, see where you're moving, and then we're going to help you to be better than where you were when you got on the table. So better movement in your hips, joint care. We're going to make sure your joints are moving better. They're more lubed up. We're going to make sure that you have better range of motion than when you got on the table. We're just going to try to make you feel better than when you got on the table.
I seen that last post you put out where that person's foot was literally 5 feet off the ground. And then after you worked whatever you were doing, I mean, it was literally way closer to the ground than what it was, you know, and just how tight everything can be, and how your body always wants to kind of just, you know, pull to one side, or is it dropping? It should pop back up if you pull the lever
take
up.
Take my big booty out
there
of it.
There you go. Yeah, I got to fix that fucking chair.
It's all right.
Anybody selling chairs?
It started to get on me, and then I hit the button, and it went all the way. I was like, oops.
But yeah, it's like, me personally, I've always dealt with a lot of hip issues, you know, just how tight everything gets. You start, you know, a lot of people don't understand you sitting in a car leaning to one side.
Oh, dude, all the time.
Or like in my work.
You're sitting right here and now I'm leaning to one side.
Yeah, on my work, I'm leaning, poor posture, stuff like that. Your body starts to kind of adapt to that position, and then it wants to pull all the time. And if you're not strengthening or doing good stretches and stuff like that, you know, it's going to start hurting over time, man. You know, and it can start shutting muscles off and shit like that. Like, I just got over a thing called a sleepy glute.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't even know what the fuck that was.
I've had some clients with that.
I'm still kind of dealing with
frozen shoulder syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, I help with all that stuff. So,
and which a lot of times can cause your back problems, which
Oh, yeah.
a majority of people have back problems, and they think, oh, it's my back. Well, it could be related to muscles, even in your legs or around
100%.
your back and
your
stuff
whole
like
body's
that.
connected. It's all something in your shoulder can be making your back hurt.
Yeah.
So it's been really cool to be able to help people with that. So I hurt people with MMA, and then I help people with stretching. So
yeah, and it's crazy because everyone thinks, well, I'll just work out, and lift and stuff like that. But there are so many different like intricate exercises that are just like you wouldn't even think of. Like I know I deal with a lot of shoulder stuff. I didn't know there was 4 small muscles around the rotator cuff that you can do various different exercises to strengthen those, because if you don't and everything else around it's strengthening, it could cause those to be weak, which could end up causing tears and stuff like that.
And issues with mobility and rotation and all those things, and your neck starts to get into play with your shoulder and all those things happen. Yep.
And especially with, guys that do jiu-jitsu, I feel like that's a big thing, man. Is that everybody wants to roll, everybody wants to do jiu-jitsu, but nobody
wants to take care of their body.
Exactly. And that's why a lot of guys get hurt, man. And then it puts them off the mat for a while, and and they think, oh, well, I'll just recover and sit down and but it's going to keep coming back.
You got to do things to proactively take care of your body.
Yeah. And what's kind of like a session, like what is that, like an hour or what do you
60 minutes.
60 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just like real deep stretches and
and no pain, no like the most discomfort they have is like stretching discomfort, not like painful like when you get a massage and they get super deep and you're like want to crawl out of your skin. None of that. Like it's going to be as painless as possible.
Yeah.
So in 60 minutes, like that's what I do for everybody.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty interested in that, man. It's definitely when I started learning like decompression and stuff like that, and like all these different forms of stretches, YouTube has, quite a bit of them. Yeah. But one thing I've noticed is that like watching some of your stuff, there's things that you really can't do by yourself sometimes, You
need somebody to work on you sometimes. You need someone to create that decompression that you can't get on your own.
Mm-hmm. Or just even the knowledge, because you can
and
watch.
The angles, like sometimes you just can't get the right angle.
Right. Yeah, because I've seen some of that, especially with the tight hip stuff. I mean, there's some things where they'll have your leg down and another leg out. And you're kind of working everything in. You can't
get that angle unless you do it.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. But no, man, that's pretty cool, dude. How long have you been running your business right now?
2 years in February.
2 years.
So coming up.
And you're out in
Liberty. Mm-hmm. At A2 Fitness.
A2 Fitness
is the gym I work out of.
Yeah, I was there the other day. It was actually pretty cool. Pretty cool spot.
Yeah, super cool private gym. Really nice.
Yeah. And you work on a lot of like, MMA guys.
Athletes, NFL players, baseball, college athletes, everyday gym goers, whatever you're going. People who don't work out and they're just tight.
Yeah.
Office workers, CEOs, anybody.
Yeah. And, you kind of explained to them too, like we were talking the other day about that, you can get all the stretching done you want, but you also have to start, strengthening.
Yeah, you can't muscles. Just be a loose noodle. You got to have some kind of muscle on you, for real.
Because I feel like a lot of people rely on chiropractors, and surely in your field as well. It's like, and you can do that if that's how you want to do it. But if you actually want to keep getting better and putting it to a point of where you can do just maintenance, you have to strengthen those muscles. But the problem is, dude, the time you have in a day, like, I work out like an hour and a half, 4 days a week. And if I was to try to incorporate all these small little exercise routines to help benefit, all these smaller muscles or mobility, even mobility exercises and stuff like that, it's very difficult. It can be done, surely, but it's just, it's very difficult. You have to sacrifice a lot,
Sure.
But,
I'll take that.
Nah, man.
Bathroom break one more time.
Yeah, bathroom break.
Bro, one more time.
One more time. We'll be back. All right, we're back.
Hey, we're back.
Good.
I'm taking 2 pee breaks. Yeah, I'm good.
We are going on for a while.
After a fight, my bladder, I have to go to the bathroom.
Why is that?
Because like I just drink so much water, which it also doesn't help that like had my teeth out, so my mouth is hurted. So like has been hurting. Yeah. I can speak English, people. I promise. I have good grammar. I promise. So it's like I've been drinking more water because like I'm trying to like wash my mouth out and like just it hurts. So I've been drinking more water.
Make sure you don't get that dry socket.
Yeah. And I just drink water. I usually drink like 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons a day anyway. Yeah. But like this week I haven't trained much because I usually take the week off after a fight just to chill out a little bit. Like I'll go to class and like sit and watch or help coach or things like that. or like hit the bag a little bit, but like I haven't really this week because like I did 2 back-to-back camps, and I mean I train 7 days a week, 65 days a year.
And you've been doing it for fucking
7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I added it up one time. If I like in a year, if I train all the sessions I train right now,
yeah,
it adds up to, if you were to put all the hours in a row, like, you know, all the hours of every class in a row, so it equals days, months, and weeks and stuff like that, it's like 65 days straight. So 2 months of my year is just training.
That's crazy, dude.
And that's not including like driving. That's just training.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, because you're doing fucking.
So then I drink all this water. I mean, this says I drink all this water, but I'm not sweating and training, so I pee all the time. Like I stood in the bathroom here for at least, that was 5 minutes.
Which is actually, people don't know, is actually good for you. You know, you're supposed to be peeing clear, people, not fucking that's what I'm doing.
Believe
yellow.
me, it's crystal clear. You could rebottle it. It wouldn't taste great, but you
a lot of people don't understand is that, you know, if you don't drink water, man, a lot of your problems is probably because of that.
So,
you know?
So many problems.
You know how many chicks I know, they're like, I have a headache all the time. It's like, how much water have you drank?
Well, that comes back to that whole stretching thing. Like my clients come in and I'm like, how much water do you drink? They're like, oh, a couple bottles a day. And they work out. And I'm like, you need to be drinking at least.
What does water do to your muscles?
It allows them to be more lax and create good tissue and be stretchy. So I'm just like, if you're going to like want me to work on you, that's great. But your stretch is going to last a lot longer and be a lot better if you come in hydrated. So so that becomes part of it too.
Yeah. But that's good though. And that's the benefit of going to a guy like you is that you can explain that to them. Because, you know, a lot of people aren't like me or other people are like you that do a lot of research on their downtime, you know, or for you, it's your job, you know, and so they rely on other people, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
No one should be an idiot nowadays. Yeah. Like saying you don't know isn't an excuse anymore.
With YouTube University,
bruh, with the information like at your fingertips on your iPhone or Android device, you can't say that you just didn't know anymore. Yeah. That is because all that means is it means you're the most lazy person. Laziness, like, and I don't care if people like it or not. Andrew Tate is probably one of the most real dudes out there. I don't care who you are. Love his stuff. Mm-hmm. Most of it. But he tells it how it is. And like he talks about it in a podcast he did, and he's like, people are usually 3 things. Like why they're at in their life where they're at. They're either ignorant, lazy, or too stupid. Yeah. And he's like, people who are too stupid to be rich. This is what he was talking about, was money. And he goes, that's maybe like 5%. Like nobody's really that stupid. Like you can like actually blame it on like their ability to process thoughts and like do stuff. It's not, most people aren't too stupid. Lazy, maybe. Like that's like a high percentage of it. And then ignorant is high percentage because people want to say like, oh, I know better. Like they don't want to look stuff up because they're like, how can they teach me to be rich? Like they just got it handed to them. Yeah. No, like you're so ignorant that you just think like somebody lucked into something that you won't even like take their advice on anything, but they're a billionaire. Yeah. Like what the hell are you doing? But the lazy part too, it's like, you can't say like, oh, I didn't know because X, Y, and Z. You have a phone in your pocket that you pay a monthly bill on. Like you literally could Google it. Like when people ask me something,
college in your pocket, basically.
They're like, yeah, I wonder how many like gallons of water it would take to fill up a pool. I'm like, Google it. Yeah. Or they're like, do you know what stretch is great for your glute? I'm like, yeah, I do, and you'll pay me for it. But I'm like, if you want the answer for free, like it's in your pocket. Like if it's like my friend asking me, and I'm like, yeah, I'll tell you and I'll show you because I care about you as a person, and it's my like I like that stuff and I like to help people. But I'm like, if it was just Joe Schmo on the street, I'd be like, why don't you look it up in your phone? Yeah. And I'm like, they're like, well, I don't want to look it up. All right, well then you got to pay me. Like that's the difference.
Yeah, you got to pay me for the time I've put into research.
Like, you're not paying. Yeah, you're not paying me for the time right now. You're paying me for the time it took me to learn all this.
Yeah,
stuff.
It's like what tradesmen say. He's like, you're not paying me this amount of money just because I know how to do it. You're paying me because I took years to figure this out. You're not paying me for the
10 minutes it took me to put in the new outlet. Yep. You're paying me for the 10 years it took me to be able to do this in 10 minutes. Get proficient at it. Yeah, bro.
Yep. And I agree, dude. I'm a big Andrew Tate, supporter as well. Like I said, I know. He
says some crazy things.
Well, the thing is
that
here
and there.
People don't understand that when you listen to somebody, people don't know how to differentiate shit. You know what I mean? He is also an entertainer as well. He hasn't shied away from that. He's admitted that.
Kickbox world champion.
Yeah. And, they don't know how to separate some of the shit that he does. And I don't know how, like, I think some people really just don't have common sense.
Dude.
So when
common
they see
sense
stuff,
is a fucking skill.
Dude,
Common sense is a fucking skill.
I feel like it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be, but common sense is a fucking skill, bro.
Yeah. And
there's some real dumb people where I'm like, you have no common sense.
And maybe it's just upbringing or just, I mean, I don't know, man.
I think that
wiring
goes into
of their
ignorance.
brain. I don't fucking know, dude. Or also too, man, you know what I've seen, especially with my own personal self, it's like being in, like, when you're unhealthy, you're eating like shit, you're not doing shit, you're fucking coming home after work, sitting on the couch is what your whole life becomes a fog.
Yeah.
You're not, your body's not firing on all cylinders. So how are you supposed to think properly? How are you supposed to be understanding of all this stuff? Because you don't even understand how your self works, you know?
Well, like, that's the thing I think I find so crazy about, like, you know, we were talking about people in health organizations, like the people in charge of the country's health. Like, you look at them and you're like, how are any of you, like, our board of people who, like, you know, whether it's Fauci or any of those people, the people who are in WHO, like, you guys should be the example of, like, the healthiest person. Like, you should be not necessarily, you're not jacked, but, like, you should be
healthy,
lean. You should be healthy. You shouldn't be overweight. You shouldn't be, like, not sure of what gender and sex you are. You shouldn't be like,
I'm not a doctor, or I'm not a nutritionist, I'm a doctor. Shouldn't those go hand in hand?
Yeah. Like, shouldn't you understand? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, like, you know, like, it's just crazy. And then that's the crazy part is now you have doctors and then functional medicine doctors. Mm-hmm. Like, now you have doctors who are like, oh, I'm going to prescribe you the codeine and the things like that. Which ain't wrong. I think doctors have a really hard job and they get scrutinized way more than they should in certain areas. Yeah, but, like, there is also the reason that happens is because there's the doctors who prescribe pills to everybody when they don't need a pill. Yeah. But then you got the dude who's like, hey man, like, yeah, you're overweight, so I'm going to prescribe this weight loss pill. And it's like, oh, hey, actually your testosterone's really low, mm-hmm. your hormones messed up, your thyroid's messed up, and you need to do these therapies to help get you back in straights. Yeah. And then you're actually going to feel like a real man again. Yeah. Like,
or at least start this way. And this is how I did it. I started working out. Yeah. Don't take anything. Just start working out. Take your little whey protein, your fucking pre-workout.
Don't be 300 pounds and be like, hey, I think I need testosterone.
Dude, I've seen some guys.
Start working out.
Start working out
like,
first.
Try, bro. And once you exhaust every avenue you can on your own, then start looking for outside things to help you out. Because sometimes it can be your hormones. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it can be your hormones at that point.
Because look at everything we're fighting right now. I mean, microplastics,
the shit in your water. Yep. Like, I grew up on a farm, so, like, we drank from the hose and, like, drank out of the tap. And now I'm doing it, and then you read all these reports. Like, my roommate, funny enough, we have, like, a water filter in the door and stuff, and she'll be like, tap water tastes weird, which it does. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I don't taste the difference.
I used to prefer tap water over bottled water.
But now, most of the time, like, I get purified water, or I try to more anyway now, because there was that article that I read online. I read it online, but I also saw it in the news, which is why I read it online, about all the crap that's in our pipes because it's built up and, like, you get all this and, like, it's causing more cancer and stuff. One? Bro, yeah, when gross. They bring them up out of the ground and you're like, you think it's like the dirt fell in as they were pulling it out, but no, that's the actual pipe.
It's nasty, all the calcium disgusting. And stuff like that.
Bro, it's so gross.
I've got a guy, I want to get him on the podcast. We were actually talking last week about it. He's what is he called? Site utilities. They do all the sewer laterals that come out of your houses, the water mains and all that stuff, storm detention systems. And I actually got to see, in some of that shit he showed me, and he was like, and I asked him, he's like this kind of big burly dude, when you see him, you're like, oh, this motherfucker, it doesn't care. He'll drink out of a faucet. He goes, no. He's like, what I've seen, no. He's like, everything's fucking filtered. He's like, actually, Kansas City has I think they're one of the cleanest water in the country.
Surprisingly, I think I've heard that before, but it's still gross.
But he said, nope. He's like, I won't do it. And
bro, then it's like, you're like, you need to get a shower treatment system because your shower is like,
dude, I've actually been thinking about getting a filter on my shower head because I've heard it causes dry skin. It causes eczema, hair,
all this crazy shit. Yeah, dude. I've heard the showers are the worst. Like, you can do all the filtered water you want, but as soon as you take a shower, it, like, negates all of it because that's the biggest organism for your body all the time.
Yeah, and your skin's just soaking it all in.
That's why my skin, I always try to, like, take care of my skin after a fight because I cut in hot tubs. So I'm in chemicals so much the week of my fight that I, like, have dry eczema issues after.
Oh, you don't do like saunas or anything?
Bro, the sauna can go fuck itself.
Really?
Hot bath all the time.
Mental game, or did you just
no? Just fuck the sauna. I just don't feel like I do.
Even the infrared saunas?
Yeah, I mean, I'll sit in those for fun, like to just like to feel good and like sweat it out. I can do those for an hour, no problem. I just sweat more in a hot tub. Like,
really?
Especially once you get lower weight. Yeah, hot tub, bro.
Really?
Hot bath, hot tub, all the above.
Huh. Do you do a lot of like cold therapy too?
Yeah. This fight camp, my mental coach had me waking up early, and I was doing 30 to 45 minutes of road work outside every morning, and then doing a cold shower.
Really?
So
yeah, I want to try that cold therapy.
I was doing cold showers for like 2 months, bro. I was so happy when I take a hot shower finally.
Dude, I
was so happy.
I cut the water down. Like I'll do like only 30 seconds. That's about as long as I can last. Yeah. And the rush you get afterwards, I can't imagine if you're doing what some of these guys are doing, 5 minutes. When I
do an ice bath, I'll do 10 minutes on my upper body. Because if I do it in a tub, like I can't fit my whole body in there because I'm like 6'4". Yeah. But I'll do 10 minutes on my lower body.
Rub it in, man.
And then that's right. Hey, any of those single ladies out there, let me know. If you're between the ages of like 22 and 28, let me know.
Hey, there you go.
I'm 32. I got abs 4 times a year. Other than that, I'm usually at least like kind of look good looking.
As long as you're good with his schedule and
that's right.
Fucking jiu-jitsu.
I'll hang out with you on the weekends. Just let me know what's up. But no, if you do jiu-jitsu, you can be a little bit older than 28, but that's about it. I'm just kidding. Yeah. So it's just one of those things that, I would do 10 minutes on my lower body and then slide my upper body down, which is like the worst part. But if I can get actually in a cold tub like that, I can do my whole body 10 minutes. Yeah. I can do 10 minutes solid and I'm cool. Like it's cold. Because once you get past the first like 2 minutes, like it's just frozen. Yeah. Now the ones I heard that are terrible, like I would probably only do a couple minutes. Like maybe I think that even the dudes who do it all the time can only do it. Like Joe Rogan, he can only do like 2 or 3 minutes in at a time. Is those blue cubes because it's running water.
And they're 32 degrees or something, almost freezing.
Well, the thing is I think, they're 30, the ones that are running, they're like 36 or 38. Oh, okay. But it's the fact when you sit in cold water and it's not moving, your body creates this thermal layer around it so you don't feel as cold after a certain amount of time. That's why you can do like 10 minutes. That's why, because after a while, I don't feel cold. Yeah. You are cold, but you just don't feel it. But with the running water, it never lets that thermal layer build. Oh, so it's like 38 degrees or 40 degrees. But you feel it's like way worse than
cold
like
jacuzzi.
It's way worse than normal cold bath.
Yeah.
And those things are like $10,000, bro. They're so expensive, but they're fucking worth it. So I've heard.
Yeah, they do get pretty pricey. Somebody must be home right now. My dogs are barking again. Yeah, man, it's crazy, dude. It's so, there's a lot of stuff out there, man. There's so much stuff, dude. So much things like to help out with recovery and therapy and stuff like that. It's kind of hard.
Red light therapy is huge.
Yeah, but where we're going with that too is like start out working out, don't take anything, see if you can boost everything naturally. And then if you can't,
exhaust all your options. Everybody wants the quickest fix. Nobody wants to work for it. Do everything that you can on your own before you start putting shit in your body. Yeah. That's really where you need to be at.
Yeah. And if you do get to that point, go get your blood work done. There's a lot of great hormone therapy places. Don't just start taking
shit over there are so many places that are like Limitless Male that we don't have around here, but then like just normal doctors, functional med doctors, like the ones like ways to well, like online. You can do Transcend, which is who Cowboy Cerrone uses. There's so many spots you can get on that you can do online or just walk into that are going to help you, that are going to take care of you, than just like buying some shit offline and putting it in your body and then you die.
Yeah, man, it's crazy because it's not really regulated right now, is it? It's kind of like
or they go to Mexico and they just go into a pharmacy and buy it, which is crazy.
Yeah, and that's kind of the way I approached it too. Over 5 years, I kind of ended up trying to work out, trying to do all that, getting on the right page, but just still not feeling like shit, or still feeling like shit. And, just wondering, like, why do I still feel like this, man? I'm only 31 years old. I'll be 32 here in January. Yeah. What's going on? And, come to find out, you go get your blood work done and your testosterone's fucking
in the toilet
of a high school girl. It's like, what the fuck? And then you're asking, you're like, well, what's wrong with me? What the fuck did I do?
It's your environment.
He's like, there's a number of reasons why it could have happened. No one really knows, man. And then, after I started mine, it's like, I felt fucking great.
Yeah. Once it kicked in.
Yeah. It's like, you feel like, damn,
I've heard from every guy
everything's been a fucking in a fog,
Yeah.
And it sucks because there's still kind of like a lot of shit people say about it and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, I look at it this way, man. It's like, it's not like I'm blasting a fucking cycle. You know
Bro,
what I mean?
You're not taking D-ball and
fucking tren and all this shit.
And human growth hormone. You're taking some testosterone to be normal,
taking
bro.
some testosterone. No, would I like to? Maybe I would. You know,
but yeah, everybody would.
Would I like to?
Would.
Hey, am I saying I'll never do it? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Hey, we try everything once. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Unless you're a professional athlete, then you ain't trying shit.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Because I gotta piss clean.
I'm not punching people in the face, so you know.
I gotta piss clean.
Yeah, and
now you're talking about one championship or PFL, and you might not get tested as much. Hey, we might go down a road if we got to, but some of those dudes in one championship over in Asia are pretty big.
Yeah,
and not naturally, if we know what I'm talking about.
Are they big?
Bro, really? Yeah, there's some boys, the 205s and heavyweights. Bro, they look like bodybuilders.
Fuck, man. I thought they were always kind of smaller guys.
Nah.
At least that last card I seen, there was a lot of smaller
guys, but they got some big boys.
Yeah, fuck.
Dude. Look like Adonises over there, bro.
Yeah,
I have to like get my game up so I can make that money.
And I feel like a lot of people, you know, to be honest with you, now that I'm on, you know, what I'm on, and you know, it's like I start looking around and seeing progression pictures from me from the beginning till now. It's like, damn, man, it's like a night and day difference. It's like, where the fuck has this been the whole time, dude? I feel like I'm barely going through fucking puberty again. Yeah. Like, what the did I ever even go through it? Like, what the fuck? And you know, I feel like I'm, you know, 21 again, man, just with the recovery.
That's the biggest part that's going to help. I mean, is all the studies it's about
doing jiu-jitsu twice a day. You know,
well, that's the thing. You know,
once
like
or twice a week. You know?
Like, because when I was bigger, I did all my research on this stuff just because I didn't know if my hormones, and I get my blood work done like every couple of years, and my levels are usually pretty good, thank the Lord. But
what is pretty good though? That's kind of the weird line.
It's whatever test you take and wherever you're sitting.
It's really it's like
mine,
is 600 good? Is 1,000 good?
My last one was around the 500-600s.
Yeah, mine was 200.
Yeah. Horrible. Now, when I was bigger, I got them done too, and mine was 205 when I was big. Back when I was 22.
And see, I've always wondered
when I was 22 though.
I always wondered that too. I only had maybe about 20 pounds of fat on me.
Yeah.
Maybe 25
Bro, I was
pounds.
45% fat.
Yeah. See, I wasn't that. I think I was like
big.
16%.
No, I was 45%, bro, and I was 350. So like,
but was that off of BMI?
That was off of like a DEXA scan, which is like the most like legit scan.
Because you know how those BMIs are. They're kind of like weird.
This was off like the lay down DEXA scan, like that. The only thing that's more accurate than that is like doing the water ones where you're underwater.
Yeah.
So this was because it like did the little scan. You had to lay still for like 10 minutes, and it like scans you, this big like $100,000 machine, like scans over you and tells you where you're holding your body fat. So yeah, mine was like super low back then, which obviously it's not now because I'm a professional athlete. But yeah, it's definitely, but yeah, like, and that's the crazy part is like, you do more research, like the more you train and the more you use your testosterone and things like that, the lower it goes. So higher level athletes, testosterone is lower than most people's.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Because
why is that?
Because you're using it, because you're exacerbating and like really using those gas tanks of testosterone that your body's creating, and you're training so much that it's even lower. So if I trained less, if I only trained twice a week, my testosterone would probably be through the roof.
So then what's the way to approach that? Should you be getting, because that's the whole big debate with the UFC, is allowing testosterone replacement therapy for the fighters.
Yeah. So I did a paper on back in college about pro athletes and stuff like that. And it was just interesting because I just was curious about it because I liked fighting back then. I just didn't fight. But there are therapeutic usage exemptions you can get from normal athletic commissions. So if they do a drug test and you pop for testosterone therapy, you can have a therapeutic usage exemption. Now it has to be like your doctor and paperwork and all this stuff, and you can't have like 2,000, right? Like you got to be within the normal levels. For sure. But you can have it. It's just the UFC doesn't allow it because of anti-doping and things like that.
Yeah, which they've split off. So,
but they're still they're all gonna do in-house testing, but they're still gonna be partnered with another company. So, I'm curious. I'm curious to see what that leads up to and what's it look like. Everybody's saying it's not gonna change anything. It's gonna be the exact same. But I'm like, but is it?
We'll start seeing body wise on some of these fighters here the next year.
So we'll start seeing that. I mean. So
old UFC days,
bro. When all the old dudes start looking jacked, that would be kind of fun, honestly.
Everyone's just bodied up.
But yeah, so Yeah, it's just, that's the thing is like you're seeing the highest level athletes. Like for me, it just means shut the fuck up. And like, that's why, I eat as clean as I do. I train as much as I do. I do all the recovery I can. I put the right things in my body, and I take all the legal supplements I can. So I take a multivitamin. I spend the most money, and I spend more on supplements probably than I would on steroids or peptides if I took those. Because I buy all the high level things to keep my body operating at the highest level. My multivitamins at AM and at PM, it's $100 for a month.
Damn. Yeah, shit's not cheap.
No. And that's with a discount from my nutritionist through her program. And then, the cleanest proteins, for a tub that might last me a month is $40-$50. Then you have, my fish oil pill, buying a high level one, because the ones at Walmart are fucking terrible.
Yeah, not all vitamins are made the same. Yeah.
So I buy the best one of that, and a month's supply is $30-$40. So, and then probiotics, and then all organic grass-fed food, so I'm not getting the hormones, so all my levels are super high on everything else, and I keep my body clean, and ends up being a very hefty cost at the end of the day, but it's worth it to not have to like worry about what's in my body and making sure that I'm operating that. And that's the biggest difference, in my opinion, between me and a lot of other local pros and just dudes like that, is I am looking at the longevity. Like, I plan to fight till I'm like 40. So 8 to 10 more years. Yoel Romero to me is an inspiration, because that dude, and Glover Teixeira, they both, until Glover retired, he was 44 fighting, and he was champ. He won the belt at like 42 this last time. Yoel Romero is still fighting, and he's in Bellator, and he's like 40. He didn't even get in the UFC till he's like 37.
Yoel Romero, I think he's 42.
Yeah, he didn't even get in the UFC till he's like 46 or 35 or 36. Like, but he just took care of his body, and that's the same way I look at it. Like, I'm going, not that I'm like fucking Yoel Romero,
and was
fucking
probably experimented on.
Yeah, fuck yeah. In Cuba, fuck yeah.
Frankenstein.
But like, my goal is to continue my longevity as long as possible, and then just do pro jiu-jitsu. Like, once I'm done fighting, I'm just gonna do pro jiu-jitsu and do
they give you a list of stuff like that, so that way, because I know being
you just
pros,
can't, it's just anything that you couldn't take for the Olympics, basically, like anything against the World Anti-Doping Association.
I just know some brands, they've said before that sometime when they mix that stuff, it could be mixed with
everything I take is in a NSF, which is third party tested.
Okay. And
most of the stuff I take is actually the brand called Thorn. Or what my nutritionist recommends, which she works with some other UFC fighters too. So she only prescribes stuff that is clean and on the list that's allowed.
Gotcha.
So I only take that stuff, but most of the stuff I take, I buy the NSF version, which is what she tells me to get, which is like a third party tested. Every batch is tested and sent off to those organizations. As far as I know, I'd have to look into it more, but I just know the NSF is like the one that like Olympic athletes and things like that take, because it's third party tested. All their stuff's third party tested, but each batch of that is tested. So it's like, so like my multivitamin, the normal version is like, let's say $80 a month. Mine is $100 a month because I have to pay $20 extra for it to be the NSF version, because it goes through more testing after. So I end up paying $20 more a month because I have to have a cleaner version, apparently.
Yeah, that sucks, man. Yeah. What's your thoughts on peptides? You brought that up earlier.
Peptides are the shit. I think all the research I've done on it.
I'm on peptides currently, and I've been given a lot of shit by some people talking about.
Let me guess, BPC 157 probably.
Not 157, because I think that's
TB 500.
That's the big common one right now.
That's like the Wolverine one that heals a bunch of people. I heard about
Joe
him.
Rogan's on and stuff.
I heard about him because like when I do all my testing through a functional med doctor, because I like them better than normal doctors. Just to see where my levels are at and things like that. And so when they do all that, they always talk to me about peptides, and I'm like, I can't take them because I'm a pro athlete, things like that. So I don't go down that road with them. But
it's a CJC 1295 in epimorelan. Yeah.
So epimorelan's a big one. I forget exactly what that one's for because I've read a bunch of different ones, but that's super
what's been explained to me is it's a human growth hormone.
Yeah, so it has it's like an antagonist, so like it helps you. It helps, from what I've read about that one, which is what most of them do along that line. It helps stimulate that growth hormone in your system to basically create more, and then helps you.
I think it's in your brain or something like that.
Yeah, anti-aging. It helps with muscle growth. Obviously, it helps with
a lot of what's helped me out with joints.
It helps you out also with like metabolizing fat and things like that.
Yeah, that was a big one, dude. I lost a lot off my waist.
And so then the CJC is also one that helps with the healing side. So people take what they do is they take like BPC 157, which is body protecting compound 157, which is like 18 amino acids in your stomach, a chain of them, and then it takes that. Like people will take that BPC 157 and they'll take CJC, or they'll take TB 500 or TA 500. I forget the exact acronyms. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, so don't take any of this as science, people. I'm not recommending you to take anything at all whatsoever. But they'll take those together because together they have a super huge amount of healing properties.
Yeah.
I think peptides are the shit. Yeah. I think peptides should be allowed by athletes, in my opinion. I think it's bullshit that like you don't want us to take testosterone. That's fine. But there are other peptides we can take to help naturally increase our normal production of testosterone. And BPC 157 has been shown to help in at least the rodent tests they've done, the animal testing they've done, to repair nerves and brain cells and help fight CTE in mice.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I did so much research on it when I got my last concussion because I was just curious about it, what I could take, right? Also, creatine apparently helps with once you have a concussion too.
Creatine.
But BPC 157, it can help repair nerves and brain damage. And actually, like if you're on it for like 2 to 6 months, like Ian Hinch, he's a UFC fighter. He had a really bad concussion. He had to get out of the UFC testing pool because he wanted to be able to take peptides. So he had to basically retire from the UFC. He still has fights on his contract, but he had to get out because he was having such bad concussion issues because he went back to fighting too soon after getting a concussion and he said, I wanted to take peptides. And they've seen like, I haven't looked at it since then, but, or looked at any of his updates, but one was BPC and a couple other ones because they've been shown to help regrow and undamage that brain tissue that was damaged.
Yeah.
And like help with nerve ending issues, help with like dead nerves, reignite them, things like that. And football players can't take it either. Like any professional athlete, if you're telling me like, and BPC is not, it might help you lose a little body fat. It might help you gain muscle a little bit quicker, but nothing like actual DECA or any of these steroids, right?
Right.
And it's something that your body naturally produces anyway. All that happens when you take like BPC, all it does is it helps your body do what it does naturally, just more because you're putting more into it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't do something your body never would do normally.
Right.
It just tells your body to do more of it. So
yeah, and their argument is, it's synthetic though. Yeah, but if your body's not producing it, then how? You just want to feel like shit and be natural?
Yeah, like, but the thing is like, if you're telling me like you're worried about, so you're not worried about my concussions, you're not worried about my brain, you're not worried about any stuff, you're just worried about making money off other things.
Right.
That's what you're worried about. Because if you're worried about my concussions and you're worried about football players' longevity in the sport and then being able to come back in 3 months from an ACL or an Achilles tear or 2 months instead of 6 months or ending their career, then you would let them take BPC. Like they have aerosols, like you can get surgery and have BPC sprayed directly on the shit. Like some doctors, if they'll do it, they'll spray it directly on what they just fixed. Really? And that shit, I've seen studies where dudes had that done where the surgeon would do that. And the dude was already taking BPC before the surgery, had a shoulder replacement and came back in 2 months to full lifting.
Really?
And he during the surgery they sprayed BPC over his shoulder, and they literally saw quicker healing in his shoulder than they had in any other surgery in the country.
Crazy. And so, what do you think? The pharmaceutical companies are kind of putting a choke on that?
Oh, bro, yeah, for sure. Like I think
because I heard they're going after peptides right now. Currently.
Yeah, peptides are being attacked super hard right now because of it. And what happens is it's the pharmaceutical companies, because what happens when our bodies start healing themselves, we start taking less pills. Mm-hmm. That's why pharmaceutical companies don't want you to be healthy. They want you to take their drugs to make you lose weight. Yeah. Because it's causing other deficiencies. Like I've had clients take.
Yeah, but look at the side effects.
I've had clients take the weight loss drugs and they lose the weight, and then they, detransition off of it and they keep the weight off, which is great. And that's better than being overweight. Don't get me wrong. But they've had issues where their hair was falling out. Their nails were more brittle because they're not getting nutrients, because this drug's making them less hungry. Yeah. And so they're not eating, which is what the drug's supposed to do because it's the diabetes
probably
drug.
the worst thing you could do too.
Yeah,
People think don't eat that much.
And don't get me wrong, they have other issues that cause this. It wasn't that they just didn't try. Like they tried for forever, and it was just a hormone issue that happened. Yeah. But it's the pharmaceutical companies are power playing everything. I mean, Pfizer was about to go out of business before the pandemic hit. And then they are now have seen like billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars increase because of coming up with the antidote.
Yeah.
The antidote, the vaccine.
Yeah, the vaccine.
Right. So like you can't tell me when it's a multi-billion-dollar company or business that if something is being attacked like peptides and hormone replacement therapy, and peptides are the closest thing you can get to naturally, honestly, because most peptides are something that is created in the human body, and now we're just making a synthetic version of it. That they're trying to stop that because all the tests, like all these tests have had more tests done on these peptides than most drugs, and they have less side effects. So we're having less side effects, better healing, but like you can't take them if you're a professional athlete. You're doing your sport at the highest level possible, but you can't take any of this stuff because it gives you an advantage. Over who? If we're all allowed to do it, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Like, if we're all allowed, like, why shouldn't fighters be allowed to take a peptide that's going to help their brain when they're not fighting?
Yeah. Do you want to see them injured and out of a
football
fight?
Players, like, why shouldn't football players be allowed to take a BPC drug when they're getting more concussions? Boxers, like Aaron Hernandez, everybody talks about that documentary and his CTE and concussion and everything like that. What if he was allowed to take BPC if that was around back then, and then he had less concussions and was less of a psycho because of it? You know what I mean? So it's just, I think peptides are the way of the future when it comes to any kind of like hormone replacement therapy and things like that. And I think if people have issues with them, they should just honestly like shut the fuck up most of the time.
And honestly, they've been around a lot longer than what people think. I was reading or listening to a documentary. Russia was using them back in the 1940s. You know,
like in the thing is most peptides, pretty much all of them are something that occurs naturally in the human body, and the peptide isn't making the body do something it wouldn't do naturally. It's just making it do more of it. For the basic part, without getting to the science behind everything.
I've been talking to some jiu-jitsu guys about it, especially a lot of them that complain a lot of joint pain and stuff like that with the peptide I'm on. But I think their biggest scare is the cancer stuff. Everybody, they hear, oh, well, human growth hormone, it can cut, if you have
cancer. You're going to get cancer, you're going to get cancer.
Yeah.
Like life is about luck, man. I mean, if we're being really honest, like you could have been a car crash, like, and again, Andrew Tate talks about it. Like you could be in a car crash when you're 5 years old and never be able to walk again. You know what I mean?
Right.
You could be doing jujitsu and like your head moves weird and you're paralyzed for the rest of your life. And it's not because it was jujitsu. It's just because of what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You could get bitten by a brown recluse over your heart and you die. You know what I mean? Like it's just like life is kind of about luck sometimes when it comes to everything.
A risk.
Like you have to mitigate that, but like, would you rather, in my opinion, live to your 80, but it was a shitty ass life the last 40 years, or you lived to 65, 70, and it was you were able to play with your grandkids till you were 70.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But maybe you got cancer. But like at the same time, maybe you got cancer at 70 and you were going to get it at 80 anyway, but you were going to not be able to play with your kids that whole time. You know what I mean? Like, it's just when people do that, I think it's a what if, and I don't.
It's not a black and white. It's kind of a gray area.
I think you shouldn't let your life be ruled by what ifs. You know what I mean? Like same people. People ask me if I'm ever like, what will be the decider factor for like stopping to fight? Same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is it'll be one, like how much is it worth it to me anymore? What's my goal? Am I getting close to my goal? And really, what's the effect on my body at that point? Right.
Yeah.
And is it plausible? Is it just a pipe dream or is it actually obtainable? Right now, everything I want to do is obtainable.
Right.
If I was 8 years older, I'd be like, probably shouldn't do this. Probably should just train for fun. Right.
Well, the good thing for you too is you have the jiu-jitsu background, so you can at least do that.
Exactly. And that's the thing too.
Some guys don't have that feel. They just have MMA and that's it. That's all they want to do.
Well, that's the thing for me is, my parents asked me, they're like, well, what do you want to do? you know, after this last fight, and I was like, if I didn't fight, there would be something missing in my life.
Yeah.
Like I believe I was born to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And everybody's path's different. Some guys get the path where they're 7-0, 8-0, and then they get into the UFC and they go undefeated for a long time and then have a loss.
Yeah.
Some guys, everybody's climb of the mountain is different. Everybody has a different face of the mountain to climb, right? And I can be pissed about my climb, or I can just do the damn thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm just doing the damn thing.
Yeah, I mean, look at Haggerty. He even showed in his last little short documentary thing that he lost twice.
Twice to
I can't remember that guy's
Rotang.
Rotang, yeah.
Lost twice to him. And like,
was it Rotang? I thought it was somebody.
Yeah, it was Rotang. He lost the title to him. Then he had a rematch when he thought he was ready, and then lost
now
him
look
again.
At him, double champ.
Now he's double champ.
Yeah,
and so
going for
triple and Rotang just lost to Superlek, and I thought he won that fight honestly, but he lost the decision.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody's climb's different,
Yeah,
like I could have a really, really rough start, lost some fights I shouldn't have lost, and I'm better than my record says.
Yeah, but your 1-3 could turn into an 8-3 here,
And then you're looking at a fucking win streak that people are like, oh, he's did some crazy shit. So, my belief is that no matter what I face in this journey, it's for what needs to be and what's going to come, because my work ethic in that push towards it is going to get me there. Yeah. So like, I'm not going to quit climbing the mountain because somebody says it's hard. Yeah. I'm not going to quit climbing the mountain and quit down my path because things get difficult. They can get frustrating, but to me, like, I was born to do it, so I have to do it.
Yeah.
If I wasn't doing this, I'd be getting into so much trouble.
Yeah.
Like, if I didn't mentally and physically exhaust myself, which is my daily goal. My daily goal is to go home where I barely can like sit down because I'm so exhausted. Where I can barely function. Because if I didn't, I would be like I was in college, and I would be drinking like a 6 to 12 pack a day and smoking 2 cigars and trying to have sex with any girl I could get around my hands on. I mean, not that I was like a super big man whore, but I was a man whore. But like, I practice safe sex, thank God. But like, I did a lot of stupid shit in college because I just didn't know what to do with myself.
Well, bad habits are easier to do than good habits.
And when I found fighting, like, then I realized like I could physically exhaust myself. And that's why I don't necessarily think I can train too much. Or why I have a level of too hard is just because I don't stop till I'm tired and physically exhausted, and that's what I want.
To be honest with you, man, I think that's something that everybody should be doing, especially male-wise.
Keeps you out of trouble. Makes you hard.
Yeah,
really.
It does. And I think a lot of, especially men right now, just have, and boys, they just don't have anything to do to exert that energy.
Well, I mean,
and they wonder why they feel like shit. They wonder why they're getting in trouble.
Well, you probably saw my last podcast. I talked about a really dark time in my life when I was like 16.
Yeah.
And, for anybody who didn't see that one, basically I was suicidal and tried to commit suicide more or less. Luckily it didn't work, obviously. Didn't have the balls, I guess, to do it, or the non-balls, whatever you want to look at it. Not that that's an issue. Like, if you have those issues, talk to somebody. Like,
sure.
Let's be real here. Like, if you're a dude and you had those things, like, let's talk to other men about it, and like, let's talk to somebody. Don't take your own life. Like, don't self-delete. That's a terrible thing.
Yeah.
For me, self-deleting and suicide was a way to get out of feeling weak and those kind of things. But that's what I was getting into when I didn't physically exhaust myself, when I didn't try to make myself harder every day, when I didn't push myself, and when I just let myself really get down in the dumps about everything. I tried to commit suicide, because I didn't think there was a reason, because I didn't see a point in having a life day to day, because there wasn't something to drive me, and I just felt like I was existing but not thriving.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you don't push yourself and you don't try to become a better person every day when you open your eyes. Yeah. So again,
a lot of people also exert their energy for others and not themselves.
Yeah.
And once you're not given that self-care and self-love, you wonder why you feel depressed. I mean, you're trying to take care of everybody else or doing everything for everybody else, and you're doing nothing for yourself.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I look at it this way. I heard this, and you know, I heard it explained this way, and I really loved the idea of it. And I've told a couple of people, and they've kind of liked it. Is, you know, I don't feel like I can be depressed.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I have, and I don't accept it. And it's not that depression isn't real. And I've, you know, Andrew Tate's talked about this. Honestly, it's kind of where I got it. He's kind of been like my go-to dude lately. Is like, I feel like depression can be real for people, but for me, like, I can't be depressed because I don't think that's possible for myself anymore. It used to be, and it's not anymore.
Yeah.
And like, except for a couple times in your life, you know, parents passing away, maybe your dog dies, something like that, you're always happy. Like, you're never really sad. Like, just like there's different shades of gray, like black, black, there's different shades of it.
Yeah.
But you would always say like, oh, that's a shade of black still. Like the microphones to the tablecloth to the black on this can, it's just different colors of black, but it's still black regardless, right? That's how happiness is. Like, you can have different levels of happiness, but you're never not happy. Like, you're never truly, truly like in turmoil unless it's like a big issue, like your parents passed away or something like that. Yeah. So every day you wake up and you have some level of happy going on, and you still got to do the shit you got to do for that day. Like, I still got to train my clients. I might wake up way less happy tomorrow than I did today, but why? Well, I don't know why. It's just, you woke up that way. You have emotions, you have feelings, right? But being a man, for me, being a person who has a job to do and shit to get done and to train, like, I got to wake up. I still got to train my clients, work out, train jiu-jitsu, like, get ready for a fight if I'm getting ready for a fight. So it doesn't matter what level of happy I am. I'm going to do everything I do. Even if I could be depressed, if I could get upset and be sad and depressed and angry, I would still get up and do the things I had to do every day. And that's part of being a man. And so when you're thriving and you're doing those things and you're making yourself harder every day and you're pushing yourself and you're not letting yourself be comfortable, then you don't really have those thoughts of suicide and depression and things like that. Like, I try to be uncomfortable every day in some aspect. And that's really what my mental coach has helped with, my personal, you know, my performance coach, Coach Jeremy, jiu-jitsu, is you're going to find a way to be uncomfortable every day. And that's going to make you thrive more. Yeah. Because when you overcome that ability to be uncomfortable, you thrive. And then you're like, okay, let's be uncomfortable again. It becomes addictive. So as long as I physically exhaust myself every day, make myself uncomfortable every day, and push myself forward, like, I know I'm going to accomplish whatever I want to accomplish in fighting, MMA, jiu-jitsu. Even
in personal life. Uncomfortable positions you're put in life are easier to deal with because you've already put yourself in those situations before, like, you know, you've had to face them.
Exactly. And that's the thing is, like, for me, you know, that's why my belief in myself, like, it's wavered before in the past, but now, especially in the last like year to 2 years, like, my belief in myself to accomplish the goals I want to accomplish, like, I'm going to do that regardless. Like, regardless of what my record shows right now, like, I will be in that big promotion one day and be able to do the things I want to accomplish. So I think the more and more as a man, you put yourself into uncomfortable positions and you literally try to exhaust yourself to where you've done everything you can for that day, it's like an ultimate win. And then you get to build on that for the next day.
I don't think there's any better way to end a podcast on that note. Fuck, man. I mean, you're completely right, man. I mean, I hope a lot of people watch this, you know, especially young males, and they see that you can overcome any obstacle in life and change at any time. I mean, look at you. You probably felt at one point, like, this was my life. This is what it's going to be. I'm going to be fat. I'm going to be, you know, not happy. And then look how you just changed everything.
There's no excuse. Your race, your gender, your sexual preference, whatever it may be in life, there is nothing where you're raised. There is no excuse that will hold you back if you have a hard work ethic and you have the drive to create something better than what you woke up in the day before. Like, everybody thinks you have to get from broke in the slums of whatever city you live in to the richest part of the town you live in a day. No. That is a journey and a marathon of years. But as long as you build on it every day, and some days you might not build that much. It might be a quarter or a thousandth of a % But as long as you built something over that day, like, it's not about being 1% every better every day. It's about being 0.0000001%. If you can do that, you're beating 99% of the people out there.
And also too, you know, I know everyone, you know, wants to jump to the Andrew Tates and all these big influencers on being rich, but also just being content with life and being a better person. If you can get to that point, that's just as rich as anybody with money, man. Well, I mean, you seek happiness instead of the dollar all the time.
Well, this is the thing is money doesn't buy you happiness. I'll agree with you there still. Right.
Makes it easier to cope with
money makes
stuff.
things easier, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
And money makes experiences easier. But like my mental coach told me this a lot. Like when we look at the goals, me being like, if I never, which this will never happen, but if I never reached where I wanted to get in fighting into a big promotion, I would still be an amazing man and person I grew up to be and raised myself to be, or my parents raised me to be, and I'd still be an amazing person, and I could still accomplish all my goals of having financial freedom, of having generational wealth. I could still do all those things. I could still be a great man without being in top promotion because of what I've done in my life and set out for my life. So no matter what, you can still do all the things you want to accomplish. It just might change over time. But if you don't accomplish that one thing you set out to do, even though you tried your hardest, that doesn't mean you aren't less of a man or you're less of a person.
Right.
It just means your priorities changed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if my priority in life was to be a father and a husband and to be the best at those I would be, that would be what makes me happy.
Right.
Money would come and I would do my job to be the best man and provide and take care of my wife, etc., and my kids. And I would do whatever it takes to make sure that we never want for, you know, food or worry about the house getting repossessed or have shitty cars or whatever it is. But that would be my goal and I would win at that goal. Mm-hmm. So I think happiness and all that is about just whatever you have your sights set on, whatever you want to accomplish in life, doing it to the highest level of excellence you can. That's being a man.
Yeah.
Being able to sit back at the end of the day and be like, I did everything I could today to be the best in every area I wanted to be.
Right. Right. Well, James, I appreciate you coming on, man.
I appreciate it.
It's been great. I got to have you on again, man. We went for a solid almost 4 hours.
Anytime.
Right
I'm always down. Anytime.
Do you have, before we end it, do you have anything that you want to put out there right now?
I mean, obviously, if you need anything training wise or stretch wise, hit me up.
Stay Ready Fitness, right? Or
Stay Ready Performance and Recovery. Yeah. Instagram is James HD10PKC. Hit me up on there or on Instagram and hit me up on there, or Steady Ready Performance and Training on Instagram.
And everything will be also in the bio as well.
Yeah.
Or in the links to this.
But really, man, my whole thing is, you know, hopefully you guys will follow my journey. Hopefully you'll follow everything I'm doing here. Any guys out there that watch this that have issues and need to talk, man, hit me up.
Yeah.
Anybody who needs anything that comes from just talking to another man out there who's been through some shit.
Yeah.
But really, man, it's just,
especially nowadays, a lot of these guys don't have any male influence.
Like,
you know?
I might not say the shit you want to hear, but I'll say the shit you need to hear.
Yeah. Medicine don't always taste good.
Yeah. So I think that's it, man. And just, you know, everybody just like keep living your life and keep pushing yourself. Try to exhaust yourself every day.
Yeah. All right, man. I appreciate it.
All right, brother.
All right.